it go, there's something you should know.
You keep making me feel like I'm the odd one out, like it's a cool kids club. Symmetry's the only thing allowed, and you're making up rules that only cater to you. You're saying the words that only mean something to you. But I don't wanna get caught up in this, so I keep telling myself there's nothing you can do, nothing you can do about it. Just keep your head up, keep your head, don't sweat it. There's gold in you, don't let somebody take it. Just keep your head up, keep your head, don't sweat it, don't stress out. You're good at making it look like you've got it all together. And if I was like you, then somehow I'd be better. But I don't wanna get caught up in this, so I keep telling myself there's nothing you can do, nothing you can do about it. Just keep your head up, keep your head, don't sweat it. There's gold in you, don't let somebody take it. Just keep your head up, keep your head, don't sweat it, don't stress out. There's something you can do, nothing you can do about it. Just keep your head up, keep your head, don't sweat it. There's gold in you, don't let somebody take it. Just keep your head up, keep your head up, keep your head, don't sweat it. There's nothing you can do, nothing you can do about it. Just keep your head up, keep your head, don't sweat it. There's gold in you, don't let somebody take it. Just keep your head up, keep your head, don't sweat it, don't stress out.
We've been waiting for so long. We've been waiting for this time to begin. We ain't getting any older. I kinda feel a little younger. Run away and embrace the day. The sun is out, won't go away. Feel the clouds on your shoulder. Touch the sky, feeling bolder. Going out, going out, going all the way. Going high, 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 high. Going out, going out, going all the way. Going high, going all the way. Going out,
The first ever edition of the Garmin Noosa Triathlon, that was held way back in 1983. We're now at the 41st edition of the race. When it was held back then, there was 180 competitors. This time around, with the age groupers, the relays, there's more than 10,000 people out there and ready to race. We have the elite men's race, we have the elite women's race, where Ashley Gentle will be out aiming to win this event for the 11th time. Jake Birtwistle, he'll be looking for number 3 in the men's race. Luke William will be looking for his second. I'm joined by a woman who's won this race 5 times. She's also the Olympic Games gold medalist from Beijing in 2008. Emma Snowsill, welcome back to Noosa. We've missed you the last few years. It's great to have you back here with us.
It's such a pleasure to be back. I mean, this is such a beautiful part of the world, and to have such an iconic event like this, I mean, it's still come back. I still get goosebumps. It reminds me of the very first time I came here as a young swimmer, and the excitement's always high, and the atmosphere is just electric.
It was a really big day for you yesterday as well. You had your 2 kids out there doing their first triathlon in Noosa with the super kids.
It was absolutely beautiful. I mean, they know what triathlon is now. They're old enough to understand that. But for them to take part and to see them experience it for themselves was actually really beautiful. And I think us as parents have had just as good a time as those 2. They crossed the line. They did say they wanted to go out and go and do it again. So that's a good sign. And I'm just so happy that they could be involved in this event, because this is exactly what it's about. It is a family affair.
I don't need to ask you the question because I know the answer as to who was more nervous, the kids or mum and dad. Mum and dad, based on what I saw.
I think definitely me. I think there's just this apprehension that comes with it. Excitement, you know, and just that hope that they enjoy it. So, yeah, I definitely have to think about getting my own pre-race nerves for them a little bit more calm.
Emma's going to try and break the internet because she's going to post with the hashtag NoosaTry and also at NoosaTry the photos of her kids and her husband out there watching them in action yesterday. Today we've got Ashley Gentle out there trying to win this event for the 11th time. She's going to be really tough to beat, isn't she? What has she meant for this race? She's a real icon.
Oh, she's an absolute icon of this sport at this, especially coming to this event. But I think, you know, she's set the stage internationally, and for her to come home and race like this every year, I think is a true testament to the event. You know, all the athletes say they love coming to Noosa, but it's not just the destination, it's the community, it's the atmosphere that's around. As we saw yesterday, all the other athletes that were competing in Super Saturday, and it adds to the atmosphere that bring and draw people back and has this aura about it. So, you know, I think, you know, she knows she's got the target on her back, but I think she wears it really well, and I think she really understands, you know, her place in this sport and being that role model to our young and up-and-coming athletes as well, but also to the greater triathlon community.
And that was a great conversation that we had with her yesterday throughout Super Saturday, and her responsibility as a role model. And for athletes, it's thrust upon them. It's part of the privilege that comes with being a superstar athlete. It is an Olympic distance course here at the Noosa Triathlon. It's the classic 1.5 kilometre swim, 40 Ks on the bike, and it's a 10 kilometre run. You know this course way better than I do, Emma.
It is an absolutely fantastic course, and I have to say the move to the ocean has been absolutely stunning. It is beautiful 1.5 kilometre swim. The conditions are obviously beautiful and calm in the morning. I got to see it from the air, which was quite a unique experience, but it is just that out and back 1 lap course that they make their way back into the Lions Park for transition, joined by all the other athletes and seeing all the other bikes in there. But yeah, heading out onto the bike course, it is flat, as we know, but there is that infamous Noosa Hill, and it does wind its way up through Gindia. And it does have a few bragging rights going up there. You know, it is known for a car race that heads up and heading through those chicanes. So I know even with my brother-in-law, we've had some little fights up that hill. But deceiving, you know, even when you get to the top of it, and there's some really good areas where I feel like in the bike course there's some make or break. So. And then you've got that infamous downhill, which we know that there are some breakneck speeds that have occurred.
Well, many of the speeds going down that descent, it's getting close towards 100 kilometres per hour.
Definitely. Some of the athletes who know how to get aero and probably got a little bit more weight behind them have definitely broken that speed limit per se on that road. But it is a fantastic course, and again, the run course, very flat and fast, and we often see that some really fast times from our professional athletes. But I think the beauty of it is that there's so many people out supporting and available to be on course, you know, with their hoses and supporting this race and all the athletes that are going to be out there for quite some time.
And the famous blue carpet at the finish line. And running down past the VIP area where it is still only 8 o'clock in the morning when athletes are getting towards the finish line, but they're already up and about and really excited.
Oh, I think it's a fantastic opportunity for especially, you know, professional athletes that don't often get to race at home, to have family and friends and that community support. But again, dipping into the community, the greater community that's here in triathlon, like it is such a club affair, a family affair, and I think that's the beauty of, you know, exactly like that, the blue carpet, having that support around it and feeling like, you know, you get that opportunity, which is not that often. But I think this sport, you know, it showcases exactly why we love it and why we do it, and all the people that come and sign up every year.
The elites, they're now down on the beach. They're still around about more than 15 minutes, more than 20 minutes away from getting started. The men will be out first, followed by the women. The water temperature is 24.6 degrees, so it's going to be a non-wetsuit swim.
Stunning. I mean, look, you can't ask for any better. There's barely a breath of wind out there. I think other than those little ripples, you'd say it probably looks like a lake. Yeah, perfect conditions, temperature fantastic. I think, you know, non-wetsuit, given it's the ocean, you know, that obviously adds a level of buoyancy that you don't get in those open water swims where they are in fresh water. And I think, you know, we're going to see the likes of Ash. You know, she made a joke the other day that, you know, that where she leads the swim is on the beach, and then she makes her ground afterwards. So I love the fact that she's relaxed and she knows this race obviously through and through. So I'm looking forward to seeing, you know, how close in touch she can stay with his front pack.
It's always a joy to watch in the run in particular. I love watching Ashley Gentle run, and you've enjoyed your time here in Noosa, and you've spent a little bit of time, particularly with your daughter Sienna and Emma Snowsill. She took the helicopter view of Noosa. Let's catch up with Emma Snowsill and her daughter Sienna.
I am so excited. It is the most picture-perfect day. We're going to go up in a helicopter, go take a ride, have a look at the Noosa Triathlon course, have a look at the beautiful surroundings that this place has to offer. You ready? Let's go. Oh, how exciting is this?
Nice traffic helicopter lifting at Noosa Airfield.
Wow, how spectacular. To have the swim course here is just, it's incredible. Like, this venue is second to none, honestly. In some of the places I've got to race around the world, just look at it. To see the thousands of athletes take on this course, starting here in Laguna Bay, the 2 times you swim first thing in the morning, you really can't get much better from a triathlon point of view. So once the swim is over and it's out onto the bike course, heading out over Garb, Proud Bridge, we head out towards Tewantin, along Gympie Terrace. It's full of local spectators coming out to cheer. They're all in support of the race. It is an out and back course, so it really adds to the atmosphere of the event. You really do feel a part of this community and everyone who gets out to support it. And then we're basically heading for the Garmin Noosa Hill. It's not a steep hill, but it is a hill that you really can make a bit of a mark on. There's absolutely, you know, no doubt why so many people choose this as their destination race. Well, the infamous ASICS run course, it is flat, it is very fast, and it is very hot. We're going to head out over to the North Shore and come back through parts of Noosa that, you know, many people probably don't really realise is also just right at their fingertips. It's really remarkable to see the diversity of this landscape is really quite mind-blowing.
It's so cool.
So cool. Look at them all.
Nice traffic helicopter flying 2 to the north, Noosa Airfield, inbound for landing. Noosa.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
No problem.
Unreal. No, that was spectacular. That is something that's going to go down in the memory books.
What a fantastic way for you, Emma, to enjoy Noosa with your daughter, Sienna. And I think Sienna is the only athlete in the kids' Super Tri yesterday that got to do a recon via the helicopter to take a look at the course.
Totally. She was so nervous, I think, both with the helicopter tour and before the race. I saw the game face coming on, but yeah, I mean, an absolute privilege to see Noosa from the air. It was an incredible experience, and we are, very, very fortunate, and very fortunate place that we live in.
Yeah, it's a spectacular part of the world. And we're also fortunate to be joined by Toby Cootes, who is one of Australia's leading triathlon coaches, and he is all across, in particular, the swim. Because, Toby, out there in the swim, it can be a little difficult to see who's who, but you're normally picking them before we're even getting to see who it is.
Yeah, I grew up doing surf life saving, and then got into triathlon that way. So, yeah, knowing that swim, especially here at Noosa, makes a massive difference, and especially now because we're in the surf.
I arrived in Noosa on the Thursday, and it was really windy, and it was super choppy. We just saw some images of Noosa Beach, and you would have thought that that was a pre-recorded postcard, but they're live images.
Oh, it is. It can change that quickly. We saw on Friday night in that 2xU ocean swim, but look at that, picture-perfect conditions. We virtually go straight off Noosa Main Beach. We follow the boys out past First Cove and into the National Park area, and then they'll do a U-turn, and then they make their way back. So it's a pretty straightforward swim here today for our swimmers.
Would there be any of the athletes in particular in the elite men's and women's race who would have been hoping for choppy conditions?
Oh, there'll be quite a few of them, I reckon, would really want to. I know Braden Mercer, perfect person that from a surf life saving background. He's got that pedigree of a name, Mercer, in the surf industry. Dean Mercer, his dad, unfortunately passed away a few years ago, and a really good mate of Garth and the family up here as well. And he's been knocking on the door and doing a couple of good races, so definitely watch for Brado today. He's my dark horse.
I'm looking forward to seeing how he comes out of the swim. Actually, Emma, my kids and I, we were standing down by the beach on Friday night and watching a couple of kids, and they were surfing their way in as if they had boogie boards underneath them. Then they'd jump up and they'd run back out again. And my kids both looked at me and said, "Dad, they're locals."
Absolutely. I mean, you definitely see that, like the likes that we know of Kai Hurst, that there could be absolutely nothing out there, and there'd be one little ripple that would come through, and he'd manage to make it a wave. And it's certainly a skill, and I think, growing up in Australia in the surf, it certainly does add to our swimming strengths.
It definitely makes a massive difference, and like you said, we grew up doing it. That's the thing. That's the difference that Aussies do opposed to our Europeans. And we do have a lot of internationals racing today, and our Aussie guys and girls, they'll use that to their advantage.
What are your expectations today?
Fast swim, fast bike. I think it's going to be on, and I think that's both male and female. The girls know that they've got to try and break Ash. Ash is going to be very hard to break. We know the calibre of athlete that we have with her, but they need at least a minute lead off the bike, and if someone can do that, then that's going to put Ash under pressure. And in the boys, the same thing. There's a couple of young ones in there that haven't raced before. This is their first Noosa. They don't know what they're expecting, but they're going out there, and I know that they're going to go out there and hammer the swim and the bike. That's their aim, and why not get some coverage out here on television?
Well, now it's a chance for us to take a look at the lineup of the favourites. For the men, Luke William, he's won here before, so too is Jake Birtwistle. Jamie Riddle, the South African, can he get the job done?
Well, yeah, he can. Yeah, anyone can on that list, and especially the first 5 or 6 of them there. Jack Sasinski, a strong swimmer and bike rider. I know that he will want to go up there and take it to him as well. Jack Crome, he's the young guy from Brisbane that he'll be up there with Braden in the swim. He'll be one of the early swim leaders, I would assume, and I know his coach loves Noosa. They put a lot of emphasis on it, and you need to do that groundwork leading into it. That's the big thing. And
Emma Taylor-Reid, the New Zealander, he's one that you've spotted on the start list. There's a real chance to win.
I definitely think he's an aggressive racer, and I think he's had that world international experience. So I think that's something that he takes with him into this race and probably wants to try and take charge of. So yeah, I feel like he's a little bit of a contender and probably one of my picks.
And I feel as if the men's race is more open than what the women's race is, because when you've got somebody here who's won it 10 times, 9 in a row, Ashley Gentle, it's hard to pick against her, isn't it, Toby?
It is, and when we do our tips, we're all going to go Ash Gentle straight away for the first one because of what she's done. And I think it's in the way that she's actually won some of them too, as she's come from a long way behind to win. So not only has she won, she's there with her partner there, Josh Amberger, and he'll be going through, we know he leads swim races out, so he'll be going through and just giving her a little bit of tips and tricks. And you can see she's got a wetsuit on there, so she's done a warm-up in a wetsuit. The water temperature is 24.6, but it is quite cool down there on the beach, and with that westerly wind we get here in the morning as well. So just keeping herself warm before racing, it's a really smart move there from Ash.
And Josh has got a big job, doesn't he, as the helper? And Josh was an elite athlete in his own right, but he is fully invested in playing that support role for Ash now.
Yeah, I mean, Ash talks about it very openly that he does put her first in what they do, and I think that's that's incredible position for them both to be in, and particularly when it comes to the swim, he is known for leading out those swims, and Ash maybe not so. So I think playing to their strengths is really formidable force, and they do make a great team.
They do make a fantastic combination, and I'm glad you mentioned the fact that she's wearing that wetsuit as part of the warm-up, because it is a non-wetsuit swim with 24.6 degrees. They have perfect conditions, Toby.
They do. I can tell you a lot of the age groupers weren't happy when I was announcing it over in transition this morning. It was a non-wetsuit swim, and they were, some of them, a lot of them want wetsuit swims full stop, but we do have that water temp. But look at the pictures there that we're seeing right off the beach. There's not a lot of chop. There's not a lot of swell. So there's got a little bit of a wade off the beach that we're going at. There's those little waves that we're just seeing right there that you can actually roll over the top of and work, like what you were saying before, Nick Sloman on Friday night. That's how he won the swim, by just milking as much as he could out of it, and that gave him an extra 2 metres just to get up out of the water to get the money. Yeah,
it was a 1,000-metre swim, and he swam about 600 of them. He was surfing his way in and out all the time. It was absolutely brilliant. Toby, thanks for joining us. We're going to hear from you throughout the race as well. You're not only at the swim, you're out on the bike leg also, which I know you enjoy. Yeah, I'm out there on the bike and the run, so we'll do some live crosses back, so we'll give you a bit of information about what's going on there, what the conditions are like out there, and we'll go from there.
Fantastic.
And the challenge, Emma, for Toby is, on the run, with the microphone, run alongside one of the leaders and try and get a few questions in. Good luck with that, Toby. We managed to throw a few questions to one of the internationals in this race. Jamie Riddle, the South African, he's one of the men to watch.
2024 has seen some of my best and worst days. Obviously qualifying for the Olympics was the big goal, and to do that I had to perform in Wollongong in March, actually, in Australia, and which I did. I podiumed there to qualify, and yeah, then going into the Olympics, it was kind of that pressure got to me, I think, and I started to crumble towards that, and then the race itself was disappointing, but regardless of the race and how it went, I still had, a dream come true. I'm feeling really strong. I would say, it's actually funny, I'm probably at my peak now. I'd say I'm far fitter and mentally ready than I was for Olympics, which is quite funny to say. So I think the body's ready to go, swim, bike, run on all assets. There's really good competition here. Between Taylor and myself, we're probably one of the best swimmers in the short course scene. Between Jake and Luke, they're probably one of the best runners in the short course scene. So I think the bike is all to play on the weekend. Yeah, just really looking forward to racing how I like to race, from the gun, hard. Obviously in Noosa Tri, there's a lot of history behind the race. I know who I'm racing against. I know the lads that I'm racing against, and I know how good they are. Each person on the start line in their own right can win on a day. So I think it's more about myself. It's more about proving to myself, as I said earlier, I'm still trying to navigate how to train, what's working for me, how to be in emotional good state. So I'm still trying to balance all of that, and I feel like I'm finally getting it. I'm finally finding the right recipes to make the best cake I can. And it would be very rewarding to be able to see what I've been doing come to life. The course is what it is, and it's always going to be what it is. But I think you have to look at the start line. You have to look at guys like Jake, who's going to be running a sub 30-minute 10K for sure. Kurt McDonald's also a strong runner. Charlie Quinn, and then you've got on the other end, you've got Taylor, myself, and Luke, who are strong swimmers. You've got Braden Mercer, the youngster. So for myself, I think if you look at all aspects, I think the race is going to be won on the bike. And I think the front guys really have to take it to them, and that's what we plan to do. I know that Taylor, myself, and Luke were in a breakaway in Wollongong at the beginning of the year, and I know we're going to want to push that. And even to not start with Luke would be great, or Taylor, to be honest. But yeah, I think just racing how we like to race, and that's from the gun.
Well, he sounded so serious and so focused, but we had an interview with him on Friday, and he said one of the big appeals of coming to Noosa is it's the back end of the season and it's a really good after party. So no doubt Jamie Riddle is looking forward to that. He's going to be one of the men to watch. The elite women, Toby Coots is still with us. The elite women, obviously, at the top of the table, it's always going to be Ashley Gentle. And I like the way that she wears number one, as she always should.
And she does it with pride as well. That's the thing. This is one race that she does put on the mantelpiece. Soph Malawecki, our podium from last year with Rochelle Hill. That's our top 3 athletes. Lottie Wilms, look for her to be one of the early swim leaders with Michaela Messer. We've got Anna Bergson there from Sweden, Rebecca Clark, Paige Cranage, Emily Adonka, and Chloe Hartnett.
And Michaela Mercer, she was really good last year early on in the swim. Very strong out of the water.
Yeah, unfortunately, she had a puncher right out onto the bike. I don't think she got past Noosa Parade, and that was the end of her day. So I know there's a little bit of redemption there from her as well. Another one of the young girls to watch out for there too is Tara Sasinski, one of the Gold Coast girls, and Nat Van Coveren coming off Paris Olympics as well.
And Charlotte McShane rounding it out as well. She's a perennial contender here, but she hasn't been able to get the win.
No, it's that swim. The swim's so important here, and if you're not in that front pack, then the day's hard. I mean, you know, I mean, you've won it from here plenty of times, but it's not easy, is it?
Yeah, being a non-drafting race, like I think you really have to set yourself up. I mean, it is swim, bike, run, and we always talk about the swim being important, but yeah, particularly in this race, it is a little bit of, you know, out of sight, out of mind, and as much as you can keep the pressure on that bike, it does become a little bit of a mind game if you know, are playing catch up, because there's not that many opportunities other than the turnaround to really gauge where you're sitting in the field, where it's not like a World Cup where, you know, you're getting feedback and splits and whatnot. So it is 2 hours of really keeping your mind on the prize.
And that's the beauty of an out and back course. You know, if you do get that break and you're out there in front, the same thing with the run. There's parts there where you won't see a person in front of you because you're in and out of streets, you're off here and around, and you're seeing it. So it's hard to get a gauge of where you are, apart from, as you said, a turnaround point on our run and also on the bike.
Well, Toby, it's time for you to run from here back across to the water. We're close to getting a start. You mentioned the Kiwi, Nicole van der Kay. We caught up with her as well before the race got underway. Let's hear from her now.
Yeah, it's amazing to be here. Australia is like a second home to me. I've been abroad for a long time now, since January, and to arrive in Australia after many, many months away, it's a great feeling, and it's always great energy, great vibes here. Everyone's out exercising and smiling and in the sunshine. So very, very happy to be here. And it's a beach start, which is fantastic for me, a little bit of a run in. And if we're lucky, we'll see in the morning there might be a wade and a porpoise into it. So I've spent years on the coast, you know, learning all those skills with Papamoa Surf Lifesaving Club. And then you can really make up a lot of seconds in those moments and get to the front and get clear water. So yeah, I'm going to try and use that to my advantage. I rode the course this morning. It's beautiful, it's fast. There's a little hill in there which will make things interesting, and it's going to be fast going up to it, and I'm sure there'll be girls that push the pace going up, create a break, so I have to be mindful of those strong riders and, you know, hold my best. I haven't done much in TT position, so yeah, I like to think I can, you know, hold my ground, but we'll see. Yeah, phenomenal field. It's really cool to see, you know. This is why Noosa is amazing, Noosa Tri. Ash is obviously like the favourite. She's won 10 times in a row, so she'll definitely be going to hold her crown, and I'm sure there's many girls out there that want that crown just as bad, so I think it's going to be a fierce day out there. For me, coming from short course, it can always be make or break in the swim, but that's the nice thing about non-drafting. You get the opportunity to make that up in the bike and the run. So that's super exciting to, you know, have these different dynamics play out. And I think it will mean a lot to me. You know, I've had quite a hard year for my standards, not achieving what I wanted to achieve. And after the Olympics, I kind of just wanted to enjoy racing again and find the passion and the spark. So for me, Noosa is really important to, you know, find that passion and spark and have a good day. So to have a good day out there come Sunday morning would mean a lot. And if I was going for the podium or the top set, I think I'd be on top of the world.
Well, Nicole, she's definitely going to be one to watch as a contender for the podium on the back of what was a disappointing Olympic Games. In the men's field, we have Luke Willian, who also spoke about a disappointing Olympic Games, and that being a motivator for him too.
I think it helps these athletes towards the end of their season, you know, propel them and refocus and come back to the sport with, you know, the real reason as to why they started it in the first place. I mean, that is the nature of it. So I think, you know, everyone's coming here with different intentions. Yes, to enjoy themselves, but with a really hard and fast 2 hours ahead of them. Well, less than 2 hours.
Okay, now the pressure's on us. It's time to put it on the line. Who is going to win? Let's start with a look at the men's and our top three. As for who's going to take out the men's race, who's going to go first, you or me?
All right, I'm going to call mine. I'm going to go off the back of the Kiwi train that we had last year. I'm going to go with Taylor Reid for number one, and I'm going to go for Luke Willian in second and Jamie Riddle. So a bit of an international podium there is my pick.
And what about the women?
Look, Ash, I mean, she just knows how to win from any place, as Toby said. So Ash, I'm going to go for number one. Rochelle, I'm going to turn the tables on the podium. I think, you know, she just seems calm and cool and just loving racing. So I'm going to put her back up on in second and Sophie in third.
Well, my picks in terms of the women, I'd love to have an argument with you, but I can't. I could not agree more. I think it is going to be the same podium as last year, but a changing in between second and third place. For the men, I'm going with Jake Birtwistle to win the race for the third time. I think Luke William in second. I've gone for another one of the internationals, Jamie Riddle in third position. For Birtwistle, he's had a really tough year that he spoke about that on Friday when you and I were at a media conference with him. And you heard from Jamie about how good he is in the run. And this is a guy who was an elite runner, a world-class runner as a junior. He was actually the school's world junior cross-country champion as a 16 or 17-year-old. So he'll love this course, particularly that final 10 kilometres.
His run pedigree is incredible, and I mean that's what he really came into the sport with. And I think these sorts of events really help remind him and showcase, you know, exactly that strength that he has played. And again, you know, coming back from disappointments is a big part and a nature of the sport. And I think someone like Jake, I think it's important for him to come back and realise, you know, why he does it and why he loves it. And you're absolutely right. I mean, this course really does, particularly the run, lend himself to someone like Jake.
And his motivation is through the roof. This race, we often talk, particularly with Ashley Gentle, about, okay, now you can finish your season and have a break. Different for her this year. We'll talk about that a little bit later on. But for Jake Birtwistle, on Friday at the media conference, he said, this is the launch of my 2025 season.
Very interesting. Yeah, I take note of that as well. And I think, you know, for him, this whole reset and change in direction is a good thing. But again, you know, it's starting with the season now, not the end. And I think this could be a really nice refresher for him, a way to re-engage and reinvigorate his racing. And I think that's really important for him as an athlete. And we're really grateful that, you know, we have an event like this for him to be able to, you know, come and say, like, I'm ready to start again. And I think it's fantastic.
Hit the reset button. It's like calling the IT department when you're having a problem with your computer. Reboot.
Hey, well, if there's a place to do it, I think this is it.
This is it. And we're just 2 minutes away from making a start. The anticipation is building down on the beach. There is Luke William, close to getting started. He'll have great confidence having won here a couple of years ago.
I think all these guys, you know, they take a lot of confidence in racing here, and the conditions really lend themselves to, you know, a really, really strong fast swim. As Toby was mentioning, you know, there's not much out there in terms of conditions, but I do think that anybody that does have those surf life-saving skills, you know, it does come and play to an advantage. And you know, someone like Jake there, he looked particularly relaxed and happy. You know, Jamie, I think all these athletes know that they're in a privileged place to be here, and they're ready to race hard, and you know, it's all smiles on before the start line. But yeah, I just love watching this sort of racing. I think it's really important for our young athletes, especially, you know, to go up against names that are competing on the world stage as well. And being non-drafting, it's that pure opportunity to test themselves.
They've just been given the 1 minute before they get underway. A few of the top-seeded athletes, they get introduced to the beach first, and then you saw the first race before the race. How important is it to get the position that you want on the beach before running into the water? Yeah,
I mean, everybody sort of tends to lend the place in which they like to start. I personally always like to start on the side and find my own clear water. So those athletes that do get caught up early obviously have a bit more of that opportunity to choose where they'd like to be. There is that short run into the water, wade. Again, you know, those surf life saving skills are going to play into a bit of part there, and making sure that there's there's no tripping. We've definitely seen that before. A few little divots in the water, and making sure that they wade and porpoise their way through. So I'm really excited for this. These guys look like they're ready to roll.
And they're underway. We also spotted towards the front Taylor Reid. He's wearing number 48 on his arm. It was nice to spot the Kiwi. And no doubt, Emma, as your pick to win the race, you're delighted to see Taylor Reid in a really good position at the start.
I think like racing with that excitement and that adrenaline and happiness, I think is really important. And to me, he seems like a really fun-loving guy and loves what he does. And I think, you know, coming into a race where that energy is behind them is really imperative. And yeah, going out and just being like, this is why I'm here. This is what I love doing. So yeah, I'm still gonna see. Yes, let's see if my predictions are correct.
Well, what we can agree on is that this woman, the 10-time winner, Ashley Gentle, is the unbackable favourite. Sophie Malovecki is the next one down in the blue colours. She was second in this race last year, so she comes here with confidence. Second recently at the Surf Coast 70.3 half Ironman events. And Rochelle Hill choosing to go on the far side. That's an interesting decision. Yeah,
exactly. Like this is the play. I mean, being that anti-clockwise swim, you know, taking that inside line, the boys, keeping them onto her left. I think that's it's something where she realised, you know, if Ash is going that way, knowing her strength, you know, does she want to give that availability to her feet, you know, and that can she get her own clear water? And sometimes athletes really, really enjoy that, you know, taking their own line, making sure that they're swimming their swim, siding their own course.
In the pink colour, Charlotte McShane. She is one of the really strong finishers, but it's the swim that she will struggle with. She's just got to try and stay in contact. Just about ready to go for the women's events. Ten seconds to go. The final settling moments for Ashley Gentle. She's aiming for win number 11. A picture of composure on her face. You could see nervous tension amongst many of the others, but that was a composed, confident expression on the face of Ashley Gentle.
I mean, Ash has just matured so much as an athlete, you know, seeing her from the Gold Coast as a young, aspiring triathlete, and the nerves often got the better of her, I felt. But she really has, you know, taken the experience she's had over these years with her and become that composed athlete and really knows what she's capable of. And I think she's taken great confidence, and she's been able to continue to ride on that, and I think that's testament to why we see her showing up the way she can, not just here in Noosa but around the world, and in the racing that she's competing in and being at the top of her game.
And she is the athlete who is at the bottom of the screen. Just in front of her in the blue colours, that is Sophie Malovecki, and they're off to a smooth start, keeping the group all together. Further out in the course, back out on board with the men, and they're now settling into their rhythm here, Emma.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's deceiving, as we were saying, you know, conditions, but you can see a little bit of swell out the back there, and I think that really lends itself to the stronger swimmers. We often talk about, you know, that being in the pool and being fast is quite different to being out in the open water. It's not necessarily about speed, it's about strength, and I think that's is something that's key, that sets them up for the race, but also from an energy expenditure point of view. You know, when you are a stronger swimmer, you haven't exerted yourself to the same degree when you're getting out onto the bike on the run, and I think that really does become a bit of a part when we are in these sorts of, you know, smaller conditions.
Is that the biggest challenge for the elite swimmers in this race, is to keep something up their sleeve for the bike and then the run?
I mean, I personally felt that it was always an advantage to be in these sorts of environments. I liked it. I felt that you could you almost could sort of start running a few people off that you knew that were going to have to be working a lot harder than you. And yeah, you take great strength in that. So I think, yeah, for me personally, I believe that it sets themselves up, not just the fast swimmers, as I said, but those stronger swimmers, those all-round athletes.
You just mentioned setting yourself up. One of the great ways for a CEO to set themselves up is to hire people who are smarter than them. And that's exactly what we've done. We've brought Susie O'Neill into commentary with us, Madam Butterfly, for the swim. What better expert for us to get involved? Susie, welcome.
Thank you. It's great to be here. Good to see you guys. It's the first time I've actually seen the water today because I haven't been out to the ocean. It looks pretty calm, which I think is good for a triathlete, right? Because they don't often swim in beach situations, from my understanding. Is that correct?
No, it's not as often that we get to get such pristine conditions, but I think, I was sort of always saying that as an Australian, like, it's such an advantage to grow up in it, because anything from here on in, if it's not, if there is no swell, you still have that up your sleeve, but you always tended to write, a little bit of the Europeans and the people that are not as conditioned to it as an advantage.
And even just used to the tides and the different energy and things. And you're talking before about using less energy, and I think it's always about easy fast, isn't it? Easy fast swimming, especially because you're in the water, and I'd imagine because it's a non-drafting triathlon, so usually I'd say the swimming doesn't count as much for a triathlon as it does for this one, because they can't just get on someone's back of their bicycle.
I mean, it can be make or break. You do want to keep in contact. Like, there's still that imaginary elastic band, as we talk about in cycling and drafting. But yet there is an advantage when you're in the water like that, in these open water conditions, to sit on someone's feet. The best place is on the hip and under the shoulder. And, it is tactical in the water, as much as it doesn't seem to be. But it does play a huge part of it. So I think it is a place where it is a vital part of the event.
The strategy for pacing works really similar across running, swimming and cycling. And I've listened to a number of interviews with you, Susie, and you've spoken about the 200 metres, whether it be the butterfly or the free stroke, and going out with the first 50 feeling relatively easy, but maintaining that pace and having the last 50 like you're on your final legs.
Yeah, well, I think the thing is, when you start for an event, and I'm sure the athletes are the same as what I was 24 years ago, is that you're very nervous. And so you use a lot of, you go a lot faster without knowing you're going fast, because your adrenaline's flowing. So in your mind, you've got to actually swim a lot slower than you feel like you're swimming, just to hold your energy back, especially in a 1.5K swim. And then if it's like the 200 fly, which I suppose it is to an extent, you'd be building the whole way through the 1.5 kilometres and just trying to pick up your pace as you get towards the end.
Well, what we are seeing here very early on, just 6 minutes into this swim, 1,500 metre swim, we've got a move out in front with a significant gap. What sort of time, Emma, do we expect to see the men and the women complete the 1,500 metres?
Yeah, I mean, that's a great question. I think, these athletes are getting faster and faster, and I mean, we're looking probably for this sort of in the mid 17 minutes, but probably lower. Again, these tidal conditions come into play. The tide is still coming in, so as you're heading out, like you're saying, Susie, you kind of got this feeling like you're swimming against the water. You're moving slower, but in actual fact, that they are moving through the water really fast. I mean, let's just say as a rough average, a 1:10 pace in the pool. These athletes really do know how to swim fast, and then coming back in, you're going to be making that turn, and you're going to get those sort of little ripples, but also that incoming tide where you feel like, that acceleration's coming through, the adrenaline, you're past the halfway mark.
We're back on board here with the men. You can see on the left-hand side of the screen, and as they're going across the course, like, it's not with or against the tide, so trying to stay on that straight line is a challenge.
Yeah, it is. They'll put their head up probably every 4 or 5 strokes and look for those big pink buoys. You've got to keep your head down for as long as you can when you're swimming. It's hard to, because you go faster, but also you don't want to get lost. And if you're behind people, I suppose you can just blindly follow them, but they may not be going in the right direction, so it's still worth your while every now and again to put your head up. I'm really interested to see as well Braden Mercer.
Yes.
So I ran into Reen Corbett, who I used to, she was an Ironwoman when I was a swimmer back in the day, and obviously Braden's dad is the late Dean Mercer, and she was telling me that he's hoping to get in the top part of the swim this morning. And it's funny, I've been coming up to Noosa Tri now for, I think, 14 years, this stint. And I remember my kids playing with Braden, up at the French Quarter in the pool in there. So now to see him out here competing in the elites is really amazing and gives me goosebumps. So I'm interested to see how he goes.
Well, his challenge, because he is such a good swimmer, is going to be to hold himself back in the swim and save more for the ride and the run.
Look, I personally think with these young athletes, they're out there with nothing to lose. I think that's such a beautiful place to be when you enter the sport and you've really got no comparison and you play to your strengths. So, I mean, he's obviously well aware of what that is and will have a game plan, but being a non-drafting race, it's an opportunity. It's an opportunity to test yourself, and I think that's for someone like him, that is coming into his first Noosa and having this experience. I think to continually find, like, where is my limit? You know, that is what sport is. And for young athletes, this is a fantastic breeding ground and opportunity to do it.
Sometimes when you try and slow down, you actually use up more energy. So if you're feeling good in the pool, it's better if you just go with that. If you go with that feeling, because if you're out in front by miles and think, oh no, I'm going too fast, I need to slow down, you can sometimes use up more energy than you should be going faster.
Susie,
I was like, I've never had that
problem.
experience.
Says you, Emma Snowsill, the Olympic Games gold medalist.
Well, you're talking about the 200 butterfly, and I'm like, you clearly would have swum that faster than we did in our first 200, even when it was, you know, all out. I mean, typically, you know, in our races, when it's been like a 2-lap course, the first 200 was just on. Like, it was always known that to that first buoy, it was just absolute carnage, and it was crazy how aggressive and how fast you had to go.
Yeah, because unlike swimming in the pool, a triathlon, and you've done plenty of triathlons, are you competing today?
I'm doing the swim in a team, yeah.
You're doing the swim in a team. It's a contact sport.
It is a contact sport.
Definitely. There has been times where, particularly even women's racing, has been known to be a little bit scrappier. There was some underwater cameras employed at different times throughout the career, and it's for good reason. You know, it is a contact sport, and people do look to take that advantage in the swim, like I talked of, like on the feet, on the hip. Pulling ankles, pulling swimsuits has occurred, punches in the face. So,
and around the buoys as well. Like, I did the ocean swim here on the Friday night, and around the buoys, especially that first buoy, is really, really rough. And people are sort of always all trying to cut the corner. And there's a rope going down that you can get a really good rope burn from, as well, depending on the tide. If someone bangs you into that.
I'm not sure if that was you can get or you can give a really good rope burn. Susie, fantastic to have you with us here. I know how much you do love triathlon. In this next phase of after being an elite athlete, go and enjoy the swim today. You don't have to win it.
Well, I try to, but every time I come up here, I think, oh, I need to get fitter, and maybe I'll do the triathlon again, the whole thing. So I remember coming up here in 2011 and feeling the endorphins and the energy and thinking, I want some of that. Went out the Monday after and bought a bicycle, and then ended up doing a couple of triathlons. My husband, Cliff, is still competing today. He's part of the, you know, done 10 in a row type triathlons. So great to be here.
Fantastic to have Madam Butterfly with us, Susie O'Neill. She's going to get out across, ready to participate in the team's event. The men, they're approaching the beach. They've been out there now for 12 minutes. Plenty still to come from Noosa.
It is a shame for a person to grow old without seeing the beauty and strength of which their body is capable. You have the tools. You have the knowledge. You have no excuses. Train to perform with Phoenix 8.
Start strength training.
The ultimate smartwatch. Only from Garmin.
This is the 41st edition of the Garmin Noosa Triathlon. The men are heading back in towards the beach, and Emma Snowsill, it is one of the locals, Braden Mercer, is leading the charge, and this is fitting.
Fantastic. I absolutely love seeing this sort of thing. I love seeing these young athletes come out and just give it them all, you know, taking charge. Absolutely nothing to lose out here. You've got a home crowd, you're excited, you're buoyed by all of the people that are around you that have supported you and got you to this point. And I think it's a fantastic opportunity, and given his pedigree and given his background, absolutely love seeing these young athletes come here and make their mark on this event.
He comes from one of the most famous families in Australia in surf lifesaving. He is one of the athletes who would have been doing the bad weather dance before the race got underway to get more of a surf. But it's almost pool conditions today.
It is, and it is funny you say that, you know, that some athletes really do thrive in those conditions where they know they've got their advantage. And I think for someone like him, you know, they know how to read any sort of conditions. It does look as picture perfect as it can be, but you can see that with that, you know, there is a tight group still together, so it does mean that the pressure is on and they're all trying to stay in contact with him, because I think as soon as they get out onto the bike, you know, it's a matter of like, how much have we put out there in the water, how much have we taken out of ourselves just to keep up with the likes of someone like Braden.
Yeah, and for him the question is, how much can I take out of the others and really lay down the gauntlet? But they're hard on his toes. It's still a really big group that's together in the men's race. This is going to make for a busy transition.
I love it. I mean, it is a long transition, a long sort of run up to transition, up the beach. Again, you know, it's about the simple things, you know, not making mistakes, you know, not even slipping over, just silly little things we talk about. You know, transition is the fourth discipline, and when it comes to, you know, world racing, it is places where it can happen, it can make or break. But yeah, it is an area where for here it's nice. It's nice to be able to get out and run past all your family and friends, but these guys will have to get their swim skins off and do their tri suits off. So still a little bit to think about.
It is Braden Mercer who leads them out of the swim. Jamie Riddle is then in second spot. Some of the big favourites, it's then Taylor Reid in third position, the Kiwi. You'll be pleased about that. Here's your pick for the overall win.
Yeah, it's a nice trio. I mean, those guys, you know, had a great race in Wollongong earlier in the year, as Jamie was alluding to, and I think that they know that, you know, they can work and use each other's energy out there on the course. So I think that's going to be really vital for them to know and to see when they get to get to their bikes and be able to ascertain where things are at, and probably also, you know, take on the likes of Braden and say, come on, you know, you're here at the front of the race, let's go, let's take advantage of this.
Back down to the pool with more, not down to the pool, sorry, down to the water, down to the beach with more athletes making their way through. We just saw Jake Birtwistle exiting the water as we're now seeing that move to transition. It's quite a long run, isn't it, from the beach through to the bike?
It's not the usual. It's not as common that we have such a long run, but, you know, given what they get to swim in, I think nobody's complaining. It's a matter of just, you know, keeping yourself composed, because it is still a run in the midst of it. But yeah, these guys look great. I mean, they know what to do here in terms of, you know, getting their suits off. Not as tricky as a wetsuit, thankfully. But again, you know, just not making mistakes, not losing a shoe. So some really basic, simple things that, you know, can afford to lose time. You can't afford to lose time, but can really break you apart in terms of losing contact with those athletes around you, and that's a great little pack that have headed out together.
And a really good start for Luke Willian, who won this race in 2021. He's had a disappointing season by his own account. He said he was disappointed with his performance at the Olympic Games, which has inspired him for Los Angeles. And now, getting out on the bike, we can see the elastic band still stuck. It looked like it got stuck up on the water bottle.
Yeah, I mean, we often have our elastic bands around the shoes, you know, connected so that they're basically in that perfect position. So when you jump onto the bike the way these guys do, and I have to say that was a flying start. You know, your feet your shoes are already there, and, you know, getting your momentum, getting your speed up before you even need to put your feet into your shoes. So yeah, depends on how strong a rubber band you need, but it seems like they've stuck well.
This is back out with some of the men continuing to make their way up the beach. And the long look back down to see the first women. We're still waiting the arrival of the first women to get themselves off Noosa Beach. We have been hearing reports of Michaela Messer being the leader at this point amongst the women, and she led them out last year. We're back on board with Jamie Riddle in the blue colours.
No, it'll be interesting to see. I think for Michaela, you know, a disappointing that she had that puncture, you know, leading the swim, as Toby alluded to. So again, yeah, I think, you know, hoping to make amends in making sure that, you know, everything's well in order for her to actually attack this race from here on in.
Jamie Riddle almost made a mess of getting that organised with the shoes to make sure that they're clipped in. Now back with the first of the women making their way out. It was Michaela Messer last year, and it is Michaela again this year. She's got a handy lead.
It looks like a great little lead there, and I was probably expecting to see next out Lotte Wilm. So she's was a Dutch swimmer and now calls Noosa home. Took part in the ocean swim as well. So it'll be interesting to see where they are. But again, very opposite to the men. You know, very broken apart. We saw quite a nice gap between these girls, whereas with the men that very tight sort of top 4, top 5.
And creating those gaps in the swim, it makes for a bigger impact of what you can do on the bike, particularly given that there is no drafting. Here is the Dutch woman that you just mentioned, Lotte Wilms. She's in the green colours. She spent 20 years as a swimmer before giving up the swimming, going travelling the world, and then discovering triathlon.
No, she's really probably been like what we would say a late bloomer, I guess, in the terms of the sport, and come across to IRONMAN and calls Noosa home, but, you know, taking part in a local event, and I think it's fantastic to see that, you know, for athletes from all ages and ranges, and then you can see Ashley Gentle there just coming out left of screen, so she's probably where we expected her in the swim. She won't be rattled by the fact that, you know, where she comes out. She knows that the bike and the run is an area she can play her strength to, and as long as she has a strong swim and nothing is, you know, deterring her, I think she's going to forge through this field relatively quickly. But
so as she did last year, Michaela Messer leads them out onto the bike, and this is where things went wrong for her last year. Really early on the bike, she had a puncture right at the start of the bike leg. Sozinski through in second position. That was expected. She's a strong swimmer as well. Her brother is also in the race, but she's leading the charge for the family in second spot through T1.
Great to see Rochelle there. She had a great swim. I think that's a place that she knows she can make some ground on the bike as well, and again, just racing with that intention to be out there and push herself to just to see where she's at. You know, she was I really enjoyed talking to a really composed athlete, and just grateful to be here and taking on every experience as a new one, and adding to, you know, where she wants to go in this sport.
Always a busy time through transition. Number 15 you saw going through, that was Natalie Van Coverden. Normally a really strong swimmer, a little more conservative in the swim today.
Yeah, I think Natalie's, you know, had quite a few ups and downs throughout the last few years. You know, she has been known to play to a swim strength, but I think, you know, a happy athlete is typically one that performs well, and I think Natalie is finding her way back there. And I really believe that, you know, she just needs to find her rhythm again, and again find her confidence, and I think that will come out and play out in racing.
And now we can see the leader, Michaela Messer, getting herself organised with the shoes. You can see the elastic band that is still attached to the back of the shoes, also onto the rear stays of the bike. And that is about keeping the shoes in the right position, so as when you get out of transition, you can slip them in quickly.
Yeah, definitely, it does. I mean, it's all these little quirks that we go through. But yeah, I think by now I'd probably want to rip that off. That would be irritating me quite a lot to know that's still there. I feel like unless it's playing an advantage, I'd want to get rid of it. But no, it is. You know, I think triathlon is known for all our little bits and pieces that we like to have. And it's probably, you know, as much as bikes have evolved and everything has evolved in terms of technology, elastic bands have still been the stalwart for any triathlete.
It's amazing for all the modern technology, and then when you see in international bike races, when you're getting ready for a descent, a newspaper up the top of the jersey.
You can't beat what works. It's certainly one of those things, true and tried and tested.
It was good to see a gaggle of riders that are contenders for a strong performance in the bike league all together. We saw Sophie Malavecchi, Charlotte McShane, and also the 10-time winner Ashley Gentle pretty much together through transition. Yeah,
there was also the other Kiwi, Rebecca Clark, in there, up in the top 5. So I think, you know, it's great to see some international athletes, and again, a very, very pulled apart, let's say, or more torn apart in the swim than we've seen in the bike. And, you know, we were talking previously, you know, to be able to see the athletes and to to continue to gauge yourself against them. You know, obviously all of them are going to have probably different parts of the course that they want to maybe either attack or to know that are more pivotal for them. But it is beneficial to gain and keep that momentum from the energy of those athletes around you. And obviously it is a non-drafting. They've got to be well aware of that. But it's also an opportunity these guys get to ride on time trial bikes. You know, it's always the road bikes. It is a different setup, a different position, and some of them are obviously not as accustomed to it. But again, it's fantastic. Like, I mean, riding a time trial bike is just, it's pure joy. It's pure speed. They are such a privilege.
And as we're on board here with Michaela Messer once again, the other joy of it is the noise that they make with the disc wheel at the back. You sound fast, and if you feel fast, you go fast. It's
so true. I have to say, I absolutely love racing with the disc wheel as well. Any opportunity, like you said, to just to feel and hear that speed, it definitely made you feel like you're a better rider.
I need it for the coffee shop ride. The blue colours out in front, that is the South African, that's Jamie Riddle. Second spot is the Kiwi, and that is Taylor Reid. In third position is Luke Willian. Good to see an international representation at the front of Noosa. It's
fantastic. I mean, these guys know each other from racing around the world. You do tend to get to know, you know, your athletes and you know, your competitors, and I think it's great that we can have the caliber of these athletes here, and they know each other well and how to work together well and motivate each other if need be. Like we mentioned with someone like the likes of Jake Birtwistle, you know, knowing what they kind of need, you know, as a buffer if they're to get off the bike and have him there on the run. So I think it's important that these guys probably, you know, can communicate per se as much as they need to.
Back on board with the women, we just saw Michaela Messer making her way through the left-hand turn as they head in to Noosaville. This is now Tara Sosinski. She was 7th at the Oceania Championships earlier on this year. She's still only 21 years of age. Swim is obviously super strong for her.
She has a fantastic position on the bike. She looks very, very comfortable in that time trial position. A great setup. No, I'd have to say that she looks very calm and composed, and yeah, fantastic looking rider.
And a good sign for her is she's got the leader within her sights, and that's something to chase, which whether it be in a triathlon or individual time trial or in the run in the final leg of this event, the last 10 kilometres, to have the carrot out in front and know that you're making up ground is motivating.
Absolutely. I think it's vital, and again, you know, keeping that pressure on, you know, it's hard to know when you're not on these, you know, out and back circuits and keeping your pace and being able to dictate. But, you know, a lot of these athletes are all going to be racing, you know, with power and knowing what they need to do to attack this course. And the sports, you know, professionally has changed a lot in that regard, that athletes, you know, become so much more data driven and know what they need to do. And know that they need to, you know, maintain a certain watts and a certain type of cadence. So I think when they are out on their own, this is an area that this can play more of a part than what it would in maybe other race situations.
This is back at transition with one of the age groupers, one of the top-end age groupers getting through the transition. Back on board with second in the women's race. This is Tara Sosinski. They've gone through Noosaville, which is where the kids' try and the special try was held yesterday. Emma's 2 children were out there in the thick of the action. Emma and husband Jan were on the side of the road, more nervous than they've ever been when they were racing.
It is very true. I have to admit that definitely was the case.
Taylor Reid looking very good. He's got Jamie Riddle within his sights. They're only a couple of kilometres away from going up Garmin Hill.
Yeah, Garmin Hill, it's, you know, in the scheme of hills or mountains per se, it doesn't seem like much, but there is those twists and turns, and again, you know, keeping contact, you know, with each other and knowing that, you know, there is an opportunity, especially if the guys off the back, you know, tend to lose a bit of sight. It can be an opportune place to make a bit of a break, and I'm positive these guys would have talked about it before. If they, you know, let's say Plan A was panning out the way it is, how do we capitalise on it? So it'll be interesting to see, you know, if we can get any time checks at the top of that hill or from the bottom to the top.
This is Lotte Wilms. She's out on course. The bike leg, it is a 40-kilometre bike leg, as it always is in Olympic distance triathlon. They make their way out of Noosa, and it's a flat run in towards Noosaville, where the women have just gone through before they get to the climb to Gindia, which is Garmin Hill when it comes to the Noosa Triathlon. And there's a lot at stake on Garmin Hill, Emma, to see who can get the Strava time. Quickest up the hill is a big one.
It's so true. It's so true. No, it is. You know, I think, you know, it goes all the way down to even the age group racing. There is a little bit of that. Yes. Taking the Strava wins, king and queen of the mountains. It seems to occur anywhere and everywhere if you've got a Strava account. But you know, the likes of Lotte Williams, you know, who's more accustomed to competing in more longer distance, a half and Ironman events, and placing 8th in Nice. So, you know, this will feel probably relatively short morning out, probably a training session for her. But yeah, it is fast and furious for someone like her who is accustomed to those longer distances.
And the lead men, Jamie Riddle in the blue colours, is he on the wrong side of the median strip? Those witches' hats to trying to keep them separated on the way out and the way back. This is part of the course where they actually overlap each other.
Yeah, coming back in, yeah, they'll start seeing all the age groupers that are heading out as well. So yeah, it is looking a little damp out there. So I don't think it's likely we're going to have any rain out on course.
Well, they're about to make the left-hand turn to go up onto the climb. This is the chasing group in the men's event. And they've got a fair bit of ground to make up already. They're tracking at more than 30 seconds behind the 2 leaders.
I do tend to feel these two guys have really decided they're going to put their name on this race. No, I think it's yeah, they love this opportunity to be able to, like I said, get out on their time trial bikes. You know, it's not the style of racing that they often get to do, but it is often where they started. You know, coming into these sorts of events where, you know, whether it's as age group, young juniors, I think, you know, getting out there and just being able to test yourself against yourself. You know, it sounds strange, but you know, when you are racing around the world and you're racing for rankings and you're racing for points and you're racing for country spots, you know, there's so much more that comes into play. And I think for these sorts of races, it's great that they can go out and just be like, you know, I'm at the end of my season. I want to finish on a high. I want to put myself out there. And as Jamie said, probably come for the party.
Yeah, well, Jamie has made the left-hand turn. He's on the Garmin Hill. And he spoke on Friday, well before this race got underway, about the need to get a head start going into the 10-kilometre run ahead of Jake Birtwistle. They've done 10 kilometres so far, 30k still to go in the bike leg. We've spoke about it with the great Susie O'Neill, the importance of pacing. We've now got to change it at the fronts. As Jamie Riddle, he has been caught on the climb.
I love it. I mean, it's about cadence here. It's about just keeping your pace. It's not a steep hill, you know. It is a hill on which these guys can pretty much stay in the time trial position, you know, given how comfortable they are and the setups in which they can find themselves. It's going to be very unlikely that they need to get out of the saddle and change from that. So it's a matter of changing cadence, moving probably a little bit further forward on your seat, and just continuing to keep that rhythm.
There's been a change at the front in the women's race. We now have Tara Sonzinski, who is at the front. She's taken the lead ahead of Michaela Messer. She's still about 2 kilometres away from getting onto the climb. Looking very smooth at the front here. Tara Sonzinski, the 21-year-old, 7th at the Oceania Championships earlier on this year. Been out on course now for a little bit over 30 minutes. Still, we're about 1,500 metres away from hitting the climb. But Emma Snowsill on the climb, seen a change at the front. Significant move.
I love it. I do.
This is the chase amongst the women's race. This is Rochelle Hill, who took a bit of a break from the sport, and she's back in the thick of the action.
She really has, I think, matured a lot in that time, and she probably says the same, that it's probably been good for her in the sense of just coming back into the sport with, you know, having a bit of a different perspective. she, you know, probably has absorbed the sport through osmosis with her mother competing, Rena Hill, who is an amazing competitor. And I think, you know, she just goes out and takes any race and opportunity in her stride, but as an experience, as a learning experience, and an opportunity to explore and test, you know, her limits in this point in her career.
A little bit over halfway up the climb. You know this road incredibly well. It's a fast climb.
It is really fast. It's a fun climb because you can basically stay in the aero position. You can maintain a really good pace going up there, but again, you know, we said it can be that point in which you can just put a little bit more pressure on your competitors, you know, and if there are a couple of turns in which you can kind of almost just lose sight of them as well, and that elastic band is you know, somewhat so vital that we talk about, that, you know, just losing that contact, and, you know, in your head you're like, you know, the pain in the legs are there. Is your head able to be able to stick in the game and take advantage of the position that these two guys have out the front right now?
We're now joined by Ryan Fisher, and Ryan, nice to be able to sit here and watch it and see the athletes out there doing their thing. These are the comfortable seats.
Absolutely, this is definitely the the better side of the fence to be on from my position now. So it's really nice to actually sit here and watch the race unfold from a very different perspective to what I'm used to.
What have you made of it so far?
I think the first thing I noticed, and I was saying to someone before, is just the evolution of the sport, how good the girls and guys just look on time trial bikes. I feel like back when I was racing anyway, which wasn't too long ago, it was very much so jump on the time trial bike at the sort of the last minute, and, you know, these guys and girls, like the positions they're holding and how comfortable they look is, it's changed a lot, and how aggressive they are riding.
Emma mentioned that before about so often as an Olympic distance triathlete, you are focused on riding on a road bike, but then to make the shift through to a time trial bike, it sounds fast, a time trial bike.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think it's one of those things that's very exciting for a lot of these guys to jump on it, and the girls, and, you know, it's sort of the end of season, you get on the bike for a few weeks and whatnot, but again, like, you know, they're so dialed in now, and it really has changed, and, you know, the disc wheels, the helmets, you know, everyone's pretty set, and I've had Jamie Riddle staying with us for the last few days, and I think we spent all of Thursday night building his front end because he was so adamant about having this new, you know, sync time trial setup, and, you know, it's just, it's completely different. So, yeah, it's really exciting.
How was his mood?
He was good. He was Jamie fashion, quietly confident, but he spoke about wanting to get some time, whether it was in the swim or on the bike, and really put pressure on guys like Luke Willen and the strong runners. So it's interesting to see how it unfolds.
It's a rare opportunity on an Olympic distance race now that you get to do non-drafting. For you, when you were racing, coming back to Noosa, what did this event mean to you, and the fact that it was back to the old traditional style triathlon?
Yeah, I think it was just, you know, it's such a true, honest race. You know, it's obviously in the ocean now, and before that it was in the canal, but, you know, it was an honest swim, and like you said, it was a non-drafting race, and not something that a lot of these guys and girls would traditionally do. And at the same time, you know, it's by far and away the biggest, most prestigious race in Australia, so it was something that you always, you know, irrelevant of what you say, you know, it means a lot.
It means a lot to the women out in front as well. They make the left-hand turn, the Queen of the Mountains for them. They go over the blue timing strip, Emma, to see who gets the best time on Garmin Hill.
Yeah, that was Rochelle Hill there, and I think, yeah, it's hopefully we can get a bit of a time check just to see where the shifts have occurred there. But yeah, there is some bragging rights, isn't there? The race, the hill, it all comes into play.
When you win, no matter how small it is, there's always bragging rights. And we've got Toby Coots. He's out on course. Toby, what can you tell us?
The boys are just over the top of Garmin Hill. Conditions out here are absolutely on song. No wind at all. So the boys, I was just following them up, leading all the way through. They're sitting on between 45 to 50 kilometres an hour. Braden Mercer looked like he was struggling leading into the Garmin Hill. As soon as they hit the hill, he went to the front and has actually put a little bit of a gap with him and Jamie Riddle over Luke Willen and Taylor Reid. Noticeably, the thing that I noticed the most with Luke was that he didn't get in the TT position going up the hill. He was actually sitting up and just probably consoling a little bit of energy for this second part over the top of Tim Biwa.
And we're on board now with the lead of the women's race. This is Tara Sozinski. Ryan, she's off to a perfect start. Strong swimmer. She's nailing the ride, but she's got to keep something in the sleeve for the run.
Yeah, absolutely. I trained alongside Tara for a while, and she was the one girl in the squad that you really didn't want to line up next to in the water, because you would get a yelling from the coach, because she would dust most of the guys. Unbelievable
Was the
swimmer.
yell, get out of the way?
Pretty much, yeah. She'd be up on your toes in no time, and yeah, she's super young, so she's definitely a big talent, and same with Rochelle, and like you said, having someone like her mum who's been such a big name in the sport, she obviously has a lot of a lot in her corner.
Yeah, her mum has won this race twice.
I believe so.
And we're seeing a move in the women's race. Now, Ashley Gentle, she's within 20 seconds of the leaders, Emma. This is the male leader. Now, your man, you've been getting him organised. This is the South African.
That's the front end.
Jamie Riddle, that's the front end. Perfect. You've done a good job.
Thank you. I just hope it holds together.
No pressure. The front fell off.
Elastic bands?
No. It was, all Allen keys and bolts all over the floor at about midnight on Thursday. So, but yeah, he's recently, since the Olympics, switched to completely non-drafting racing now, and something I think he's very excited for, being a really strong bike rider, and something that he's looking forward to. So this is his first race on the back end of what's going to be a long Australian sort of end of the season. He's off to Melbourne after this for the half Ironman there, and I think Bustleton after that. So this was the race that he really wanted to target, though, just because of the crowd and the way that it is.
Well, he's got a big program in front of him then, doesn't he? We see Braden Mercer is also riding towards the front. We heard from Toby Coots. He's done really strongly up the climb. Nice to see the local in the mix at the sharp end of the race.
Yeah, I think it's interesting, just to hear the different dynamics and probably the tactics some of the athletes, take on board or discuss with their coaches as to, how they want to attack this race. Like Toby was saying, Luke maybe more sitting up and just absorbing the hill rather than attacking the hill, whereas at the front end of the race we're seeing the opposite. I mean, when you were racing, did you find that any of the athletes had very completely different race plans in that regard?
Yeah, I think so. You always kind of know the guys that are likely just to try and sit there, and they're strong runners. So, and at the same time, it's one of those things that's they don't have to do the work. They know that you need to try and get away from them on the bike, and that's then, I guess, kind of up to you. And that's something that Jamie pointed out, obviously knowing the guys like Jake Burtwhistle and Luke Willen. So. And
Jake Burtwhistle, he's got a lot of work to do. He's 1 minute and 36 seconds behind the leaders. Braden Mercer has moved through to the front. He's riding super strongly. Taylor Reid, the Kiwi, you're keeping a very close eye on him. Ryan, Emma has gone with Taylor Reid for the win.
It's a tough one. I mean, Taylor's probably one of the toughest races there is. If you're going to beat him, you need to, you really need to be on, because you know that he will never give up. He's notorious for vomiting his way through to the finish line. So I think
vomiting his way through to the finish line.
He's become famous for vomiting his way through to the finish line. So I think for Jamie or Luke or whoever it is to outrun him, they're going to have to really have their day.
That was my pick. That's why I sort of figured that he's just got this toughness about him, and this almost happy aggressiveness about the way he races, because he just throws himself out there and leaves nothing. Well, as you mentioned, nothing in the tank, and I think that's a testament to why he loves lining up in a race like this, doesn't he? Put himself out there.
Literally nothing left. Ryan, before we let you go, we're going to put you on the spot. Who wins the men's? Who wins the women's?
Jamie's going to hate me for this, but I'm going to pick Luke Willen. And I think Ash Gentle's hard to go by. I don't think.
Pretty brave.
I can't see
Gentle to win.
A real outlier there, but I can't see the girls being able to hold her off, and her run is obviously phenomenal. So, I'll go with Ash for the girls.
Great to have you with us. Olympic representative for Australia, Ryan Fisher, who put the bike together for Jamie Riddle. The front end is staying together. Thanks, Ryan.
Touch wood. Thank you.
Hoping it stays together.
Rochelle Hill's doing a fantastic job on Garmin Hill.
She looks fabulous, as we've all alluded to, she's probably had a little bit more time on a time trial bike, taking part in, a lot of Australian racing events, non-drafting, Hell of the West, and again, just taking it in a stride. And I think she just looks like she goes out and races with the intention that I'm here to enjoy it and have this have an experience and learn from it. Having the likes of her mum certainly would add an amazing aspect to her journey, and I think that's such a unique aspect to have.
Here is Jamie Riddle out in front. He's had the bike put together by Ryan Fisher, so there's plenty of pressure on Ryan Fisher as he's watching very closely to see how Jamie Riddle is able to perform. We've seen some movement in the women's race. Ashley Gentle has worked her way back up towards the front. She came out of the water more than 1 minute down. She's now within 20 seconds of the lead of the race. Jamie Riddle with a look across the shoulder, just checking on the whereabouts of his nearest rivals. There's non-drafting, but they're still working together at the front, Emma.
You do. You always have to keep a little bit aware of what's around and who's around you, and it does add a bit of momentum if you feel like that person when you turn over is just fading a little bit into the distance, and isn't an opportunity just to put a few more watts into those pedals, and a little bit of psychological warfare.
Well, we spoke earlier on, Emma, about you watching your kids on the side of the road. With you watching the kids was your husband, who's with us now, Jan Frodeno, also Olympic Games gold medalist and 3 times winner at Kona Ironman. How was yesterday for you, Jan?
It was a really, really special experience. I think that is what Noosa is kind of all about. I've come here once and only appreciated it from the sidelines, but I really got into it yesterday. My heart rate, watching the kids race and being there and seeing the event that's put on for them really is something that sows the seed for the future, I think.
Emma said that at one point she took a look at your daughter, Sienna, and she gave the death stare, a picture of real concentration. Does she get that from you or does she get that from Mum?
Yeah, it might be a new thing for her. We've all seen it several times. That is definitely an Emma trait that she's taken on early on, and it was very intense. I can absolutely confirm.
We saw you yesterday in the celebrity try, and you said this is just going to be fun. I've been retired for a year. It's not serious. But when you took up the run in last position, you looked very serious.
It was. We had this weird briefing just before, and I vaguely remembered it, but it said something about there's children watching and there's no cheating, and I felt like, making your optimal course was part of this relay, but it turns out not to be, so we were trying not to be last and just have a blast, and I think that's the beauty of it. The competitive spirit comes out, and for 1,500 meters of running, it turned out to be a good little hill out.
Before you met Emma, and as a non-Australian looking across at Australian triathlon, what was your perception of this event and Australian triathlon in general some 12, 15 years ago?
Noosa is definitely one of those things where you hear about it being one of the, if not the largest triathlon in the world, and you're like, yeah, whatever, Noosa, little surfy village. And then the first time I remember coming down Noosa Hill and watching the car park just full of bikes, and I was just mesmerized. I couldn't believe how huge this event actually is. Of course, when I met Emma, triathlon was at its peak, and there were World Cups where it was first, second, and third was Aussie women, and also the men. They have a huge dominance in the history of the sport, and so times have changed a little bit in that regard. And I think we're seeing a bright part of the future come up now, and these kind of events where the future of the sport is born, grassroots kind of events like Noosa, where you can bring new talent to the fore, are so important for the sport.
I mean, it's certainly been a breeding ground for me, and I've noticed that it's been an opportunity where we see now young athletes, like we're talking of the likes that are putting themselves out there against internationals, putting themselves up against, where they see the world standard being, and I think that's such a vital part of an athlete progression and setting themselves up to be on the world stage. And as we mentioned, like for the likes of a young, Braden Mercer, putting it to these guys and saying, well, they're out there competing on the world stage. I want to be there one day like you. How do I get there? And I think, as you said, like having these grassroots events are something that is so vital for athlete development.
That's Braden in the black colours. He's leading. Jamie Riddle is in the blue. So it's the local hero, Braden Mercer, at the front. Jamie Riddle, a South African, in second position. You've spent a lot of your time in South Africa.
That is indeed where I found my first roots in triathlon. And this very road that these gentlemen are on right now is one that I've experienced a lot of pain on. It's part of our Tuesday Worlds ritual. We obviously used to spend a lot of time here in Noosa. And this is, that final climb where the time trial section of the ride is over for us on a Tuesday, but these guys are absolutely putting down the hammer, and it's wonderful to see these local roads that have actually got so much history in the sport now. You know, it's not a once-off event. It's something that is infamous around the world, and people know Noosa and the triathlon because of this event.
Yeah, when it first started in 1983, there was 180 competitors in the race, and half of them got lost because they didn't have their Garmin with them at that point. Do you like seeing an Olympic distance race that's non-drafting?
Yeah, I do. I do very much enjoy seeing it. You know, we've had series around the world that have worked, but they haven't been quite, you know, they haven't worked well enough. And I think it's so important, because we look at the big races. You know, Kona was just on last week, and you look at the athletes that are there making a name for themselves. But you have to start somewhere. No one can start in Kona. And this is such a fun way for young athletes to come out with the community. There are thousands of athletes here, but also families coming out, and, you know, like we spoke about, the kids triathlon, and everybody's out having a good time, able to connect with these athletes. And that is something of the magic sauce, I think, of triathlon, is that amateurs and pros come together and you race the same course, the same time, and share your battle stories at Bistro C afterwards. And how good can that be, you know?
That is one of the keys to Noosa, and Ashley Gentle has spoken about it. When she's coming back on the run, a lot of the age groupers are on the way out, and she loses count of how many times she hears "Go Ash." You spoke about this as a great place for many people to start. We had Richie Port yesterday in the Celebrity Tri, third place finisher in the Tour de France. He's doing the bike leg today. In 2004, he did the triathlon here, and he said he absolutely tanked it.
Yeah, well, I mean, Richie has, I do believe he has some kind of triathlon history, and sort of had himself a go. Didn't make it in triathlon, so he had to go and ride the Tour de France. Poor guy. But you know what? Good on him. I saw him out yesterday. He was on his full time trial rig, and I was like, it's a bit serious for the Celebrity Tri, but then he explained the story of how he wants to come out here. And, you know, that is Noosa Tri. It's also bragging rights. There is a lot there where people are actually motivated to just go and have a good, hard hit out on a Sunday morning.
And Tara Sosinski, she's super motivated. She is riding incredibly strongly. She got out of the water well. She came out of the water in second position. She very quickly moved into the lead. She's gone strongly up the climb, and Toby Coots is out on course. Toby, what have you got for us?
Yeah, just following the girls at the moment. We're nearly coming up to around the turnaround point out of Karoy, and as you're saying, the young gun, Tara Sosinski, out in front, but both her and Rochelle getting hunted by the experience of Ash Gentle and Nat Van Koven. We're about to make that contact where all four of those girls will be together.
Well, Ashley Gentle, I spoke to her a couple of days ago, Jan, about making the transition and going longer and going all the way to Kona, going to the IRONMAN event. You've made that transition successfully. What's your advice to Ash?
You know, I think the biggest thing for Ash is to find her belief of where she thinks she can be the best. You know, she's had a long time in the sport. She's found incredible success on this in-between distance, the T100, where, you know, she's kind of known as the Queen of Noosa, but she's also known as the Queen of the T100. And she really found herself, but it's difficult as the Olympic cycle progresses. New athletes pour in and new talents that are just, you know, they're very forefront of their game. And I think the most important thing about this sport is finding an element of success and developing a passion for it. And that's something that Ash needs to continue to do. It's something where we've seen her thrive and really enjoy herself, which in the past I haven't always seen on her Olympic campaigns. It's been a bit of a forced journey at times, which is understandable. It's a tough sport, right? Nobody plays triathlon. If it was easy, it'd be called soccer, we like to say. And that's not triathlon, and that's why you need to genuinely find some joy in the process of going. And I hope she finds that in the longer distance too, because it's a wonderful part of our sport.
Is this how brutally honest he is at home, Emma?
Yes, definitely.
Well, here she is, Ashley Gentle now, wearing number one, moving up towards the front, and she's still got the bike leg to come, and she's now in the lead. And Jan, she has not tapered for this race, because you mentioned the T100. She's got the World Championships in a fortnight in Dubai to come.
She does, and she's in a tricky position, you know. She's got some tough competition in the form of Taylor Knibb, who's taken over the rankings. And we were sitting in Ibiza in the recovery zone and just having a bit of chit-chat and doing some maths on the rankings. And she does need to win Dubai and does need to beat Taylor Knibb. And that seems to be the tallest feat in triathlon, in women's triathlon at the moment. Actually, in triathlon overall, it's not just women's triathlon. Let's be very clear here. And that's why she's changed coaches. She has very much worked on her bike. And seeing her take the lead right here is no surprise to me, because she needs to practice exactly this, going out, going in the front, riding by herself and riding hard to make up that swim deficit. to be able to play her run strength. So I've got little worries of her being able to play this card here for this race. But Dubai is only 2 weeks away, and she's going to need to show her very, very best form on that day.
So a question for both of you, particularly in the longer distance triathlons and a non-drafting, the importance of how the bike leg and strengthening that to set up your run so she can actually execute her strong leg.
Yeah, I mean, I obviously didn't get to compete in the very long distance, but my few times that I did, I think it is a vital part. Like, again, it's not where the race is won or lost, but the evolution of bikes, and obviously Jan's got to experience far more of that than I got to in terms of technology and position and aerodynamics, like the science and the sport that has come into it, and then the training that's gone into that and the evolution of that is been absolutely incredible to witness. But again, it's putting the three together. It is what triathlon is all about. And Ash did mention, like you said, you know, she's upped a lot of her mileage in her bike, a lot more intensity in her run, less mileage. But I mean, yeah, this guy has probably done it more masterfully than most.
Well, I did like his T-shirt yesterday. Swim, canyon, run.
Yeah, there's a lot to that. I mean, the development, if you look at only the front end, just to talk a little bit of tech while we've got these images here, you know, everybody's got a bottle between their arms now. They've got fine-tuned, highly individual cockpits that actually make it a lot more comfortable than it used to be. If you look at classic cycling images, you know, those that the amateur cyclists love to see of Cipollini and Ulrich back in the days, sitting what feels like half a meter higher than their elbows, you know, Graham O'Brien, you know, being one of those classic images. They were aerodynamically probably less superior, but a lot less comfortable. And it's something where the sport has developed a sense that you need to be comfortable to be able to push your best power, and at the same time, very, very aerodynamic. And that's why these bikes are starting to look like space rockets, but they are incredibly fast and incredibly fun to ride.
Well, Jan, thanks for joining us. You can enjoy the rest of the morning in the Garmin Beach VIP area. I'm going to keep Emma here with us until we get through to the end. It's been a lot of fun. Thank you.
Thanks very much for having me.
Still plenty to come here from the 41st edition of the Garmin Noosa Triathlon.
With a powerful 2-litre hybrid engine, intelligent 4-wheel drive, and 7 spacious seats, the all-new Tank 500 Hybrid out there awaits.
Well, there's some changes at the front of the race and there's some changes in the conditions. Light drizzle is falling. In the men's race, it's been seesawing between the South African in the blue colours, Jamie Riddle at the front, sharing it with the local, Braden Mercer, who led them out of the water and was super strong on Garmin Hill and has put himself back in the mix at the front of the race. Two-time winner of the event, Jake Birtwistle, he's still tracking at roughly 1 minute and 30 seconds behind. They have 10 kilometres remaining on the bike leg before they go into the second transition, and then it is out onto the run. Looking so composed, it is Ashley Gentle, rightly so, wearing number 1. She's at the front of the race yet again, and she is at the front of the race early this year by comparison to where she was last year. The course record that is held by Emma Carney, that was set way back in 1997. Ashley Gentle's been close, but not quite able to get the course record. Here's a look at the chasers lining up behind her. This is Rochelle Hill. Her mum, a 2-times winner of this race. Rochelle wears number 3 because she was 3rd in the race last year. She had a 4 or 5 year break from the sport when she was in her late teens. It's great to see her back. She's still in her early 20s. She had a fantastic season last year when she managed to win the Mooloolaba Triathlon at the beginning of the season. That set up the rest of her year. Jamie Riddle still going strong at the front. The Kiwi, Taylor Reid, also trying to keep himself in contention. He's one of the pre-race favourites. Emma Snow still has spoken about him as one of the men to watch in this race. Luke Willian also trying to keep himself up in contention. Here is Jamie Riddle at the front. He's been sharing the pacemaking along with Braden Mercer and Emma. Braden Mercer doing brilliantly out on the bike league.
I love it. I love it. I love seeing this. I love seeing these young athletes just taking the opportunity to pace themselves and just see how far they get through the race, you know, holding on to the likes of these sorts of athletes that are at the top of their game as well.
Well, Emma, we're joined by another guest, and this is an athlete that I was hoping we were going to be commentating on today. Milan Agnew, welcome to the coverage. I wish you were out there.
Yeah, thank you. I wish I was out there as well, but watching these girls and guys do what they're doing this morning is pretty cool to see.
You've had a good back end of the season, brilliant performance at the Sunshine Coast 70.3. You must have been pretty happy with that.
Yeah, I was actually pretty surprised with that. I took a mini break / holiday in Paris for 10 days and watched a lot of my friends compete there, and then came home and had the 3-week block, and I really surprised myself there, which was cool.
And what's kept you out of Noosa this year?
I've got a small little niggle that I don't want to make any worse. So yeah, I've got huge goals for next year, which I don't want to write myself off for. So yeah, I'm trying to be smart by not racing this weekend, as hard as it is not to be out there this morning.
It's always a tough decision for any athlete to pull out of a race, and especially a somewhat home crowd race. But you sound like you're taking on experience and obviously knowing, you know, injuries that you've had before and taking that time away from the sport. Like, what are your goals for next year in that regard?
Yeah, so this year I moved my focus to 70.3s distance, and yeah, next year I'd love to get on the T100 circuit and yeah, put my best foot forward with all that stuff. So yeah, I've managed to get quite a bit of experience this year, and I'd like to race one more time and then yeah, set myself up for next year.
And have you been buoyed a little bit by the T100 because of some training experience now? You seem to be doing a few more sessions with Ash Gentle. Is that something that has sort of ignited that flame a little bit further or faster maybe?
Yeah, for sure. Like, Ash is the best at that distance, and having the opportunity and friendship like with her is something I like really admire. And yeah, we've done quite a bit of stuff over the last month, and yeah, it's hard to find someone that you click with and can just go to training and go home with a smile on your face, and I feel like we've managed to do that pretty well, so that's cool.
One of my favourite expressions is, you are the company you keep. Here's a look at you training. Here's a look at you having your win on the Sunshine Coast. What do these images bring back for you?
Yeah, that was a really special moment. This Mooloolaba, I grew up, like, we had a beach house up there when I was in school. So yeah, I went up there every weekend, and that's as close to home as I was going to get. So having all my friends and family there was pretty cool.
And training with Ash, like, it must give you confidence. Okay, I'm training with the best in the world at this. And, you know, you don't necessarily have to win training races, but it is a confidence builder to know that you're keeping company with one of the best, surely.
Yeah, for sure. But like I said, it's more so, yeah, being able to get along and, put our best foot forward in training and then walk away and still, like, laugh and have a smile on our face. That's what means the most to me with, getting out of with Ash.
Well, here she is now. She's out. She's in the lead already on the bike leg. You know those people that you train with, particularly on the bike, and they're always half-wheeling you? Is Ash Gentle a half-wheeler?
No, she's definitely not a half-wheeler. We do have done a few 4-hour rides together, and I think we're too busy talking to each other than half-wheeling each other. So yeah, no, she's definitely not a half-wheeler.
And what about running? Is she a half-footer?
Okay, running's a different story. I'm looking at her behind most of the time, but yeah, running, she's another level.
And she's in a fantastic position on the bike here, Emma.
Having the opportunity with someone like Ash, having the best in the world, do you take that as an opportunity also to learn and to what you want to emulate yourself to be as an athlete, and sort of having that experience? But and like you said, there's a friendship there. But do you feel that that's something that you put in your back pocket and say, like I'm learning from the best, and it's probably an experience you often don't often get an opportunity to have. Many athletes don't, but do you think that's a vital part of your development?
Oh, for sure. Like, seeing the way Ash carries herself every day is something I look up to, and it's an experience that's amazing, I'd say. I am very grateful for it, and I'm glad that we've been able to do what we've done the past month together. Hopefully it's working for her right now, so
it comes as no surprise that she's hit the front of the bike, is what you're trying to say.
No, definitely no surprise with the way she's been training.
Well, Jamie Riddle is at the front of the men's race. It's Ashley Gentle at the front of the women's race. The weather is turning. Milan Agnew, fantastic to have you here with us. I hope that you're back here actually racing next year, and all the best with your aspirations for the T100 events.
Thank you so much, and thanks for having me on.
It's been a delight to have Milan Agnew on. Before I came here, Emma, I was tipping her as the smoky to get the better of Ashley Gentle.
I think it's fantastic to have two people training together, and I think it brings out the best in both of them. It's always a way in which you can't always gauge how you going in training, but I think when you are training alongside the best, it's an incredible opportunity to learn, and I was fortunate enough to have those experiences in my early career, and believe it was really vital for me to understand and know what it took to be at the top of the world, and I think for someone like her, to take on the wisdom of not letting an injury turn into something greater, because I know what I want to achieve, and having those goals set out. I take full credit. Always tough to make at the time, but you have to take confidence in your decisions and stick with them.
Well, I'm confident in this decision. Our next decision is to head down to the voice of Australian triathlon, Pete Murray. Pete.
Good morning, Matt. Good morning, Emma. What a day it is. Started this morning, 6:15 on the main beach. Unbelievable scenes. This race, as you know, it's grown since 1983. Now over 13,000 athletes. Today on the beach, 9,000 of them are actually doing this event today. It's unbelievable, it's incredible, and what an atmosphere it was, guys.
And there's plenty more still to come, Pete. You've got a long day ahead of you. It's not finishing up anytime soon. You're out there until the last athlete goes across the line.
Yeah, we're following a great race on the male and the female elite professional side, but we've got age groups. We've got the Smiling for Smitty team, our charity team. We've got around, as I said before, 9,000 people, and whether you're the first across the line or you're going to be back towards the back of the field around 12:31 p.m, it doesn't matter. We're going to make sure we bring home each and every one of those athletes the best possible way.
Fantastic, Pete. We'll hear from you more throughout the day. And Emma Snowsill, you've only heard the cheer that the winner gets. You've never experienced the cheer that last place gets. It's worth hanging around for. It's nearly as loud as the cheer you used to get.
No, absolutely. I think, Pete Murray's probably the true endurance animal out there, being out there all day, carrying the energy that he does. But I think that's something that we continue to see in these sorts of sports, that you have the energy for everybody that's out there. And, some of them are starting in an hour or so's time. So it's important that we all support each other. And like we've mentioned, everyone's out doing the same course. And everyone comes here for very different reasons and comes with different challenges. And I think it's fantastic that people are here and supporting each and every athlete.
And Ashley Gentle, she only ever comes here with one purpose, and that purpose is to win.
She looks fabulous. I mean, as we've mentioned, the setup on the bikes has just been incredible, and the evolution of where it's gone. And I think for Ash as well, it's something that she's had, you know, it probably in the beginning found challenging to absorb in that change and that shift. But, you know, once you agree to, you know, taking that on board and being a part of your weaponry per se, it really does become such an obsession, and it becomes a fun obsession to see how fast, how aero, how comfortable you can get, because it is such an important and vital part of the race, which sets you up for that third leg.
And she's working with Jordan Kirby now on the bike, and Jordan was a world champion in the individual pursuit on the track. He was an Australian under-23 time trial champion as well. He knows all about going quick on the bike when you're on your own.
Yeah, she mentioned that she is really upping the kilometres on the bike, and particularly over the European season, putting a lot more hours. Not so much on the running. She felt like it was translating more to her running, that she could actually keep her run kilometres relatively low, adding the intensity. But she noticed that that as much as it was longer hours, yeah, she's showing that in her racing that it's really working for her. And I think, you know, if you tend to lead yourself towards injury by overrunning and over kilometres, this is a fantastic way to avoid, you know, running into injury, because with the season being as long as it is, it's absolutely vital that they don't have any time out.
The lead in the men's race, it's Jamie Riddle. He's gone across the top of the Garth Proud Bridge. The shoes are already undone. He's getting out of them. He's onto the top of the shoes. Transition, make sure you don't stub your toe. Rule number one in transition.
It's so true. It's so true. But, you know, these guys are used to probably a lot more athletes around them, a lot more fast and furious. But, you know, this roundabout sometimes can catch you a little bit off guard, you know, with a little bit of speed coming around. But he's nailed that absolutely perfectly. Had a quick look around just to see who's in his sights. Sort of what gap he's got, and probably hoping for some probably maybe Ryan's back out there on course, giving him a bit of a time check, you know, as he heads out onto the run, because he's very capable of a fast and furious run. But again, you know, making this transition to longer distance, or let's say even non-drafting racing, for him, he needs to know, you know, what is he capable of running after doing a 40K solo.
One of the big advantages that he does have going into transition first, it can be hectic in the bike transition. He's got the place to himself. Braden Mercer, the next one in the black colours, the stealth bomber. He's under the radar today.
Absolutely love it. Fantastic to see, putting himself out there with these guys. It's such an opportune time for him, and for him to just, you know, continue to put himself at the forefront of this race, and with the likes of Luke William there, he looks close, and Taylor Reid. So this is going to be a really fun, fast 10K run coming up.
Luke William, he slipped into the ASICs very quickly. He's won this race before. He said he had a disappointing experience at the Olympic Games in Paris, and that has motivated him for LA in 4 years.
Look, you know, every athlete has ups and downs in their career, and, you know, often you learn the most in those downs. It's the times where you have to, you know, reassess, look at what you were doing. How do I continue to evolve myself? And yeah, it is tricky, but it's the nature of sport and life.
And Jake Birtwistle, he's now at 50 seconds behind, so he's made up 40 seconds on the bike leg. 50 seconds, though, that's still a lot of ground to make up in a 10-kilometre run.
It is, but it is Jake. We do know he's running pedigree, so it'd be very interesting to see, you know, I think more his composure now coming into transition, that he doesn't, you know, doesn't rush it, doesn't make, like we talk of, those silly little mistakes. But I think he's well aware of his capabilities. He's also, you know, like we mentioned, a new phase in his career too. So I think having that freshness and freshness of mind is often more beneficial than freshness of body.
Well, this is Jamie Riddle now at the front. That is not the classic physique of a 10-kilometre runner.
Yeah, look, it's so interesting to see the different physiques now that we see in triathlon. You know, we see it on the world stage, and you know, I don't know what the classic is anymore, because it has evolved so much. But Jamie, you know, I think he, you know, I feel like a South African grit comes through more than any physique is going to play into any part. But he looks good. He looks comfortable. I think he knows that he's put a lot out there and probably still, finding his legs in these first few kilometres, not as accustomed to, short, sharp turnarounds that we see in World Cup racing, which is a different style of racing. And often you can get off in these first few Ks and kind of feel a bit gluggy because you have been in more of this monotonous position than you're accustomed to, not getting out of the saddle and finding your run legs. Yeah, it does take a little bit, and it is a little bit different.
This is Ashley Gentle. She is coming back in towards Noosa. She's not too far away from hitting the transition either. She's got herself in a very familiar position. She is at the head of the race. And this has been a really impressive ride in the red colours. This is Tara Sosnitsky. She has been leading throughout a fair portion of the race. She still sits in 4th position. She's keeping herself in with a shot at a top 5 finish.
She looks as calm and composed as Ash does on the bike. I'm really impressed with her setup, and you can just see there's just no movement in her shoulders there in the front part of her body. So, again, like being comfortable, being in that great aero position is something that's really vital in these sorts of races. And if you are, taking part in non-drafting, so yeah, for me, she's looking the most comfortable outside of Ash at this point.
It's always difficult to compete with Ashley Gentle for looking cool, comfortable and composed at the Garmin Noosa Triathlon. And as we've spoken about a few times already today, this is part of a stepping stone. She hasn't actually tapered for this race. She is training through this race in preparation for what is to come in a couple of weeks for the T100 series. Jamie Riddle, he has now got Braden Mercer from a surf life-saving background, one of the best swimmers in the race, breathing down his neck. This is outstanding by Braden.
Multi-sport athletes, I mean, that is it. I mean, you grow up in this country, just, you need to kind of be a bit of a jack of all trades, and triathlon definitely lends itself to this. I mean, we've seen athletes that, come from other sports, and we see it, with probably more so like different times with the American athletes that have come to triathlon. There was a period of time where we saw a lot of swimmers that came from college swimming. We saw, sort of runners in the UK come into triathlon, those sort of talent programs. And I think it's fantastic that we can, take surf life-saving athletes in this country, which we're so renowned for, and being such a strength, and taking them through to triathlon. And he just looks like he's just looking to keep him in his sight, and I think keep breathing down his neck. What a great race for such a young up-and-coming athlete.
So it's Jamie Riddle who leads, Braden Mercer in 2nd position, Luke Willian and also Taylor Reid, they're in 3rd and 4th position. They're within striking distance. They're out onto the run leg inside 9 kilometres remaining in the men's race. Back on board with the leading men. No changes at the front. It's still Jamie Riddle, the South African in the blue colours, who leads. And Braden Mercer, he has closed down the gap. I expected him to lead out of the water. I did not expect him to be this close to the front on the run.
Love a dark horse. Absolutely amazing. Fantastic. Like, truly, it's just mark the best in the field and go with them for as long as you can. So I'd love an upset to my top 3, if I'm perfectly honest. I love it. It's this opportunity to take the bulls by the horns and just go with it.
Well, this would be the surprise packet of this year's Noosa Triathlon if it was Mercer who was get the victory. Now we're seeing Jake Birtwistle, though. He is a runner with an elite background in particularly middle distance running. He was the world school cross-country champion way back in 2012, and he's now putting that to very good use.
He does look very composed. He's got that beautiful running style. He does look really, really relaxed, a great turnover and great hand carriage. And I mean, that's what we've known Jake for. That's, like you mentioned, he's come into the sport as that elite runner and you know, transitioned over to triathlon and had success, and it's great to have him back. So it'll be interesting to see how much time he can take out of these two leaders.
And shortly, Emma, we're going to be joined by two of Australia's best middle distance runners. They're going to give us a few insights on what we're seeing out on course, and I'm going to pick their brain to try and go a little bit faster in the Saturday morning park run so as I don't finish at the back.
I love it. I love getting the advice of experts, especially when it comes to running.
You know what I don't like about the advice from experts? When I can't follow it because I'm not good enough.
Maybe you just got to change shoes.
I need a lot more than that. We've now got to change in the lead. Emma Snowsill, I'll pick your chin up for you. It's just hit the ground. This is Braden Mercer leading the race.
Absolutely fantastic. This is just, I love it. Absolutely love it. He's just digging deep. He knows that he's got the likes of Jake as well. So if he sees that Jamie's fading and, you know, the pressure's not maintained, then it's his time to take charge and keep running away with this, because, you know, sometimes if you dictate yourself off the pace of who's leading the race, you can't gauge their face, you can't hear their breathing, you can't hear if they're labouring or not, but he'd be no doubt be getting some splits out there to know, you know, where Jake is. So he has to take charge at this point in time and yeah, run with it.
He looks really composed. So too does Ashley Gentle. She is desperately close to heading over the Garth Proud Bridge, then into transition. She came out of the water more than 1 minute down. She was 1 minute and 20 seconds behind. She caught the lead halfway through. She is in sparkling form. At 33 years of age, I think her best years are still ahead of her. And she's won this race 10 times already.
Well, I think when it comes to triathlon, I think the age is definitely, you know, the maturity that comes with racing, that comes within, you know, the age and endurance is being something that Ash has certainly had on her side, as she's mentioned, you know, for how young she came into the sport, how long she's been into the sport. So I think it's, yeah, it's imperative. I mean, as we've seen, you know, even in the World Championships in Kona, you know, where the general age of our winners are actually the older now, whereas in Olympic distance racing, it was more around that 27-year-old mark that we saw, you know, Olympic champions, but come Kona, it's become in the mid-30s even.
Here she is, Ashley Gentle. She's passed the GWM tank as she goes into transition. And we spoke to Pete Murray before. He's now doing the venue announcing. He's even more excited than Ashley is.
I love it. He knows how to bring the crowd and the energy, and knows that Ash, you know, also thrives off that. And having all the age groupers head out onto the bike now as well, it just adds to it. It's what makes these sorts of events so much more unique.
But she doesn't have a commanding lead. There's plenty that are still within striking distance of her. Rochelle Hill, she's the athlete who's in third spot. She was third last year. Well, she's fourth in the course, but she's third within that group, and she is a strong runner too.
Fabulous runner, you know, comes from the pedigree of her mum and the experience that we've talked of, and Rena was, you know, a fierce competitor in her own right, and I'm sure they've talked about their race plan together, but you know, the likes of Natalie Van Coevorden, she's a fantastic runner as well, and knows how to put down a fantastic 10K. So it'll be a nice battle of the places for those. I think those, unfortunately, only second and third podium spots though.
Yeah, Natalie Van Coevorden, she represented Australia at the Olympic Games this year in Paris, and similar to Luke William, it wasn't the experience that she was hoping for. Not like the one that you had when you won a gold medal in 2008. It seems like many lifetimes ago, but I have to say this event doesn't, you know, in many respects. The Olympics are just such a different kettle of fish. They are, you know, have their own aura and their own right and their own set of expectations that come with it, and sometimes they're hard learning curves to have, but
as we say, you know, like that is sport, that is the nature of it, and you have to live and learn by what you did well and what you didn't, and continue to evolve yourself as an athlete.
It's super busy now in transition as many of the age groupers are coming through, and it was super busy on Noosa Parade yesterday. And one of my favourite events to watch is the ASICS Bolt. And we've got the winner of both the men's race and the women's race with us. We have Jude Thomas with us. It was a really tight race in the men's event. But Leanne Pompanini, the women's race, you dominated and you weren't far off the course record. You were very antisocial yesterday.
Maybe next year.
You come back next year and see if you can get...
I think she's created the reason to come back next year.
And Jude, for you, it was a throw to the line.
Yeah, it was a surprise to me. It was a surprise to me as well. Those boys are in great form, so I'm just happy I was able to compete with them yesterday.
Well, when we saw you on the podium, we made mention that you were the only male on there without a mustache, but it turns out a little bit closer. You've got a little one going.
When you get the big cameras in front, you can actually see it there a little bit.
So, Leanne, what was your expectations going into yesterday?
Well, I knew, we didn't really know who was racing, but when I saw Georgia Griffiths, yeah, I knew she's got a dangerous 3K, being the Australian record holder over 3,000. I thought, you know, if she's with any, you know, if she's on my tail with, you know, a couple hundred to go, she'll outkick me. So I have to play to my strengths and hopefully just push it from the start.
Which is exactly what you did. It was fantastic. And what I like about the ASICS Bolt is having the women's start and then the men's start. Do you feel them chasing?
Well, I didn't until I was getting to the finish line, but you can hear the commentators. So I wasn't really, you know, looking around or anything, but I could hear Craig Mottram, and that was giving me enough. And I knew that they were coming in close, but I thought that finish line is so close. Like, you know, there's not much on the line but pride about, you know, a bit of ego and pride to beating the men, and I did, so I'm pretty happy with that.
We were happy too. Buster had all the energy. Jude, we're on board now with a guy who hails from this area, comes from Noosa. This is Braden Mercer, renowned for surf life-saving. We thought the run was going to be his weak leg. He looks all right.
He looks very strong out there. I'm not sure how far in, probably a couple K in by now, but yeah, he's looking really strong. I've seen he's made a little gap over the last, like, 4 or 5 minutes, so yeah, he's starting to pull away.
How do you rate his technique?
Oh, it's better than mine, so.
That's a big call.
Yeah, no, he's looking good. Like, he can keep going, yeah.
He can keep going. Let's take a look back at the action that we had here yesterday as part of Super Saturday. Why don't you commentate yourself? I'm off to a great start. I put them all under pressure.
You don't want to know what was going on?
Yes, we do.
Yes, we do. Tell us.
I mean, I was a little bit nervous about the turns. It's not really my forte, you know, having to decelerate and accelerate so much, but I just had to roll with it. Georgia was with me, and I thought she was just sitting and she was going to kick. And then when there was a little bit of a gap, I just thought, let's just keep going. I feel great. So the crowd was amazing.
There was so much of a gap, there was nobody behind you. There was nobody in shot. But for you, Jude, right behind you had Sam Clifford and then the defending champion, Jack Rayner. You were keeping some good company out there.
Yeah, the beauty of the course, it's a spectator's dream, but it's a runner's nightmare. You've got so many turns out there, but that actually helps with the tactical sort of race. No move can be uncovered when you've got to slow down into a turn, so it makes it really good when you don't have to chase everything. That's what I did. I left it to the last turn and then went for it there.
Emma, both of them were going around the corner so quickly. I thought they were going to roll an ankle.
Honestly, I mean, I haven't run it, and that's for very good reason, because those tight turnarounds just are so hard. Like, and then to accelerate, and it's like you mentioned, like it's not something you're accustomed to, but the crowd, as you mentioned, it's probably part of it, or maybe the bigger reason as to why you come in and put out a performance like that.
Yeah, it definitely helps having the crowd here. They're always thumping along that bridge, so yeah, it's always good to get a win here, especially in the crowd. Yeah,
we're seeing a real challenge here in the women's race because we have Rochelle Hill breathing down the neck now of Ashley Gentle. Natalie Van Covenen is another 4 seconds further behind. It's not a foregone conclusion. Ash Gentle may not win number 11.
Could be eating my words here. I mean, as Ash mentioned, she is in a really heavy training block with Dubai, the T100 in just 2 weeks' time. So, you know, she probably doesn't have maybe the run speed she has been accustomed to with just focusing on Noosa end of season 10K. But look, I think Ash, you know, she knows knows how to keep composed under pressure. I think she's going to still continue to put her best foot forward. But, you know, I love seeing the likes of someone like Rochelle, like we've talked of, you know, coming out here and saying, like, I'm here up against the best. I want to say what I can do while she's here in front of me, while we're racing next to each other.
What are your expectations for the 10-kilometre time for the quickest of the men in this event?
Ooh, where is it at now?
31 minutes?
Honestly, like, these guys can get really close to like 30. Like, they're running incredibly quick these days, and these guys can attest to, like, what shoes also, like, have done for the sport of running. Like, it's absolutely incredible. I mean, we see the likes of Alex Yee winning in Paris. Like, I mean, the speed in which those guys were running and then the acceleration in which he won that race by was honestly mind-blowing.
Braden Mercer still out in front. Before we let you both go, Leanne and Jude, asking for a friend, any tips for Saturday morning park run?
Oh man, just keep turning up.
That's a good tip.
Consistency is key, yeah. I can go
Okay,
with that.
I can do that. The rest we'll work on. Can we catch up again next year?
Yeah, definitely.
All right. Great to have the winners of the ASICS Bolt with us, Leanne Poparani and Jude Thomas. They're going to enjoy the VIP tent as we keep watching to see if Ashley Gentle can do it again and whether Braden Mercer can hold on. Oh, Rochelle Hill, she's staying well and truly within contact here, Emma. This is a strong performance. She was third last year, getting one step closer this year.
Look, yeah, I would say Ash, you know, we've seen Ash certainly look, let's say, lighter on her feet and a higher turnover and higher cadence. And, you know, she certainly doesn't look laboured. But, yeah, I would attest that what she was saying, you know, about her heavy training block, that she's probably not running the fastest 10K that we know Ash to have in her. And, yeah, Rochelle looks great. She's got a really nice and relaxed, nice arms, nice hands, and a really nice turnover. So I think you know, if she can get as close as she can to Ash and see what she's, you know, got left in the tank, it'd be a fantastic upset to see. You know, not because I don't want Ash to take this win, but I think it's an opportune time, as I always say, for these athletes. Ooh.
That was a rare image. Ashley Gentle actually looking over her shoulder and being able to see somebody that is within striking distance. She has extended her advantage a fraction over the last kilometre or so, but she knows that she's under pressure. This is a rare position for her at Noosa.
Yeah, I mean, she's obviously got the lead motorbike with her, but then she would be aware that she can hear another motorbike there, so she would know that there's somebody, you know, encroaching, let's say, on her space. So, yeah, I wouldn't say that we normally see Ash, you know, taking that turnaround, but I think she knows that she needs to stay composed within herself. And yeah, she you know, she'd be knowing that there's the pressure there, but again, she's got to run her own race at this point.
She looks deliberately very focused on her breathing. This is Braden Mercer out in front. Toby Coots, no surprises in the women's race, a big surprise in the men's race.
Yeah, Braden looking awesome at the moment. I've just been riding with the guys, and his leg turnover and just body position is just far superior than others. Lukey Willen, he's just starting to make a bit of a charge. They're about the 5K mark, so they're over halfway and making their way back in through all the town sections, but they all come out of that view of each other. So Braden's the one out the front, the rest are hunting, and I still reckon Braden is looking very good. Only question is, has he gone out too hard? And we'll find that out probably in the last 2K of this run.
Have you had a chance yet to see Ashley Gentle come through with Rochelle Hill behind her?
No, I'm just sitting up at the roundabout where they should be coming through very shortly, around that 3-4 kilometre mark into the run. So once we get them, I'll give you a call back and let you know how that's unfolding. But both races, mate, they're cracking. It's great to see that, you know, we've got some people fighting out for the titles today.
Well, great to have Toby Coots with us as well. Emma, we should always listen to Toby. He told us before the race got underway, watch Braden Mercer.
He definitely did, yeah. He definitely had some insider knowledge there. But I would say from this camera angle, it did look like Ash has, you know, probably put a little bit of ground into Rochelle there. It's a bit tricky to tell because sometimes with the straights and the curves of this road that to determine, but from my opinion, it definitely looked like that she had made a little bit more ground on her. So yeah, hopefully we get a bit more of an actual time check from Toby out on course shortly, but that would be my interpretation at this point.
And as we saw in the men's race in particular at the Olympic Games in the triathlon, it looked like Hayden Wilde, who was the winner of this race last year, he had it sewn up until 600 metres to go.
Oh, that was just such a phenomenal race. I mean, I really can't explain the energy behind the atmosphere that was there, and to witness those guys running the way they ran, the speed at which they ran was just absolutely off the charts, like at the end of a triathlon, for how hard they'd been going. And we knew Alex Yee, you know, he has set the new standard in terms of running in our sport on the male side. And to see Hayden taking it to him, to leading the race, it almost seemed like that, you know, the race had been lost by Yee as a hot favourite. But, you know, it was like something switched in his brain, a man possessed, and I think also, you know, carrying the mantle of the Great Britain men and their Olympic, you know, heritage that they have upheld for so long. I really think that was something that came into play for him, where he just decided, like, this is it, it's now or never, it's my time, I've got no time to think about pain. And probably one of the best race finishes I think I've ever seen in our sport.
It was outstanding, with Yee getting the win ahead of the Kiwi Wild, who was the winner of this race last year, and as you alluded to, carrying the torch from the Brownlee brothers, and that was a big responsibility. This could be the story of Garmin Noosa Triathlon 41 with Braden Mercer. We spoke with Susie O'Neill earlier on, and she remembers her kids hanging out with Braden when they were 4 and 5 years of age, as getting underneath everybody's feet at the Noosa Tri.
I love it. It is. I mean, that is honestly, like, just epitomises what this sport is about. That families have come up here for many, many years, and you know, come here without kids, come here with kids now, and then to see this evolution of their own children taking part, you know, probably from the Super Kids Triathlon now to, you know, the main event. I mean, how incredible is that, and what a beautiful story that is. To have so many people know who that young athlete was, you know, probably hanging out in the VIP like all the young kids now. And I maintain, you know, you just never know who's watching. And I think it's such a vital part of any sport is heroes and having heroes. And I believe that, you know, every sport needs it, and I think it's an important part as to the success of that sport in that country too.
And Rochelle Hill, who's in second position, her hero was very close to home. Mum, a multiple winner here at Noosa. And she had a break from the sport for 4 or 5 years. She went away, did some studies. She studied to become a teacher. I'm glad she's back.
Absolutely. I mean, we need these athletes in the sport, particularly, I think, in the female side. It's something that, you know, we've probably struggled with in the last few years. To have a strong dominance in our female athletes, and I believe someone, you know, like Rena Hill, who's had that experience, has played such an integral part to, you know, her time away from the sport, but also helping her develop that passion to be back in the sport. And it's incredible to witness.
And this is the battle in second position in the grey colours. Luke Willian, he was the winner of this race in 2021. And we're not seeing signs of him closing the gap on Braden at the moment. Braden Mercer still in a commanding position.
He doesn't at all. He doesn't look like they've made time. Like he really, I mean, this is a tricky part in this little suburban street of Noosa here. And again, opportune time, you know, really opportune time to just get out of sight, out of mind, you know, leave the others wondering. And Taylor Reid looked like he was still hot on the shoulders of Luke Willian there, so it'd be interesting to see if he can, if he's able to maintain that pressure. And let's see what the rest of that podium's going to look like.
Ashley Gentle, Rochelle Hill, Natalie Van Koven, and that's the top three in the women. Toby, Ashley's looking good. She's looking in control now.
Yeah, absolutely. She's probably not looking, as I've heard in the commentary, is saying that she's a bit in heavy workload, and you can actually tell that from just the way she's running. She's not a normal sparky self that we do normally see her here. So, but in control, she knows what she's doing. She's got a lead over Rochelle, and just the leg turnover. The leg turnover is just far superior than the other two girls behind her, and that's why she's holding that gap.
You've been impressed though with Rochelle Hill?
Oh, look, yeah, she's the next young gun that's going to come through. you know, through Australian circles, you know, at that young age. And Tara Sasinski, we saw what she's capable of doing. She's only just out of, I think, the teens. She's only about 21. So, you know, we're looking pretty good on the girls' front here with some talent coming through, that is for sure.
And Rochelle, Toby, she had a tough campaign at the World Championships this year. She crashed on the bike but still finished 31st. How important is it for her to close out the season with a strong result?
Oh, absolutely. You know, she went in there with probably a lot of confidence and going that way. And unfortunately, we all know what happens in racing. Sometimes it doesn't go to plan. But, you know, to bounce back from a World Championship campaign and come out here and go second to Ash, I mean, she's going to have to be very, very happy with that. Well, the race ain't over yet, so let's not say that she's got it, but anything can happen. But we just know, you know, Ash is going to be hard to close down from here. But, you know, Rochelle still looks really comfortable. I'm just rolling with her at the moment. She's sitting on around that 18, 19 kilometres an hour. So arms are relaxed, legs are ticking over nicely. Yeah, she's got a huge future ahead of herself in the sport.
And Toby, you're going to like this. With 2.5 kilometres to go, Braden Mercer is leading Luke William and Taylor Reid by 34 seconds.
You know what? It doesn't surprise me with Braden. For the ones that don't know, Dean Mercer is his father. He passed away, you know, quite a few years ago, and we know how dogged Dino was in the surf. And Braden's from the same mould, mate. There's no difference with him. I watched his facial features and that, and I looked at it and went, that's a young Dean, you know, going hard, you know, in the surf. And mate, I'm stoked for him. It's really, really good to see that he's going to come away with a very good, you know, performance here at Noosa.
Everybody, is great to get the updates out on course by one of Australia's leading triathlon coaches, Toby Cootes. Now, Reid, the Kiwi, has moved into second spot.
There you go. So my predictions are somewhat on track. We've just had the best upset, and I absolutely, totally love and agree with what Toby has said there about Braden. You know, he's cut from the same cloth, and I mean, you've never seen a more fierce competitor than his dad in the surf life-saving, and all credit to him finding this sport, and how fortunate are we that he's found triathlon. But I noticed, you know, one of the motos, you know, telling him to do up his suit. That's always a pretty good sign. A little quick turnaround there, because you can see those guys coming over the back just over that second last bridge, and this is a deceivingly longer straight than you think along Noosa Parade. You kind of feel like, you know, that bridge is like, I'm nearly home, but yeah, it sort of curves around a little bit, and he had a little bit of a glance there, but I mean, with that 34 seconds, I would have to think it's pretty disastrous for something to happen at this point. But, you know, that's what happens when you're putting everything on the line. You know, it's these things can happen, but he looks marvelous. Honestly, like his leg turnover looks incredible. He looks like he's working hard, rightly so, because he is. He's moving fast, but he does look like he's got a determination about him that, if anything, just there looks like he's even made a bit more of an acceleration. He is speaking to the cameraman and getting a little bit of feedback there on what his split is. And if, you know, I honestly think that he actually did up the pace just then.
And so too has Taylor Reid, the Kiwi. He has created a gap between himself and Luke William. We then have a little further back the South African, Jamie Riddle. So we are set for an international top 5 with a local winner potentially. We've spoken a lot about Dean Mercer, his father. Who was the tougher competitor for Braden Mercer? His mum or his dad? Because she was a superstar too. Exactly.
I mean, she was one of the icons of sport when I was growing up as well. And I had many athletes, you know, when I used to train with Dennis Cottrell at the pool, you know, we had the Olympic swimmers, Grant Hackett in lane 1, and we had all the surf lifesavers in lanes 3 and 4, and the piddly little triathletes, you know, in lane 5. And, you know, I think it's like part and parcel of helping you become those athletes, but also seeing other athletes at the top of their sport, you know, a few lanes over from you, motivated you to want to keep on top of your game. And beauty of multi-sport, isn't it, that we can have them around us and emulate what we want out of ourselves. He's getting some amazing cheers out there. I'm sure he has quite a few mates out there getting a bit of feedback from the bike.
And if you could pick it up from the audio, if we were on radio, we'd need the 8-second delay. It's enthusiastic support from the sidelines. 33 competitors in the elite men's race, and he was listed at number 33. The absolute underdog. He takes a look across the shoulder, and I hope he's got good eyesight because it's a long way back to see Taylor Reid.
It is, but you can just see the light on the left of screen of the motorbike of second and third right now on the far right of screen. You know, these guys are obviously trying their very, very best to hunt, and they know that, you know, anything is still possible, but he's so close now. He's so close to smelling that victory. It's just a matter of, like, can he continue to hold on?
He is almost there. He's getting close to the Garth Proud Bridge. Once he gets onto the Garth Proud Bridge, he'll be able to smell the finish line. He'll be able to see the famous blue carpet, and he'll be contemplating his celebration. This is a breakout performance, and Braden Mercer today has announced himself as not just an Australian triathlete to watch, a goosebump-causing international athlete to watch.
I have got absolute goosebumps for this guy. I'm just waiting for him to come across the bridge now. I can see him in sight. This is just, honestly, like, unbelievable. I'm so happy.
Let's get down to Pete Murray.
Well, Braden Mercer, ladies and gentlemen, has come over the Garth Proud Bridge. This will be a win for the ages. His name is the Mercer family, but today on his own, Braden Mercer will come home to Noosa as your champion, the Garmin Noosa Triathlon champion for 2024. Braden Mercer, what a performance. Look at the time, 1 hour and 43 minutes. But Braden Mercer, you are the Noosa Triathlon champion. Yes, sir. What a performance from Braden Mercer. His mother, Reen, in the crowd celebrating. His coach, his athletes is there as well. His dad looking down from above. And what a performance from the Kiwi today. He got off the bike in the top 4. He said, I want to get on the podium. And Taylor Reid will be second place today at the Garmin Noosa Tri. And he did. What a performance from Taylor Reid. And coming home in third place, he's a former champion. He'll wrap up the podium. Australian, Olympian, and third at Noosa today, Luke William. Wow, what a performance. Jamie Riddle from South Africa comes on through. Well done, Jamie.
Well, Jamie Riddle across in 4th position. Taylor Reid, you spoke about him, or maybe it was Ryan Fisher who said he's renowned for bringing up the day's takings at the end of the race because he leaves it all out there, and he's done exactly that. But I was witnessing your emotion as Braden Mercer went across the line. What does this mean to you to see him win?
Oh, I mean, the Mercer family has been such an instrumental family in this country, and particularly surf lifesaving. But yeah, it is actually really emotional, I think, to see such a young athlete and the history that they have. And to lose, you know, to lose a father, I think it would be very tough on a young man. And I think that's probably part and parcel of, you know, what helps drive his determination in the sport and in this sport. And as I mentioned already before, you know, I think we should be very fortunate to have him. And yeah, having the likes of his wife and of his mother here is just truly incredible. So the emotions do run high for someone like that has had, you know, probably some challenges in life that were probably not the easiest and necessarily the fairest, but to find sport and to find that meaning and to carry that family flag is something that I think is something to be cherished, and probably why it does make me get a little bit teary.
Let's hear from him. He's now with Pete Murray.
Well, we're at the finish line with our 2024 Garmin Noosa Triathlon champion, Braden Mercer. Without a doubt, the race of your life.
Yeah, I know that's what I'm capable of, but finally put it together a race that, I know that I'm capable of. I've trained so hard for this. I train hard every day and push myself to exhaustion. And, it's an amazing feeling, honestly.
Braden, let's talk through your race. You got out of the water nice and early. You swim, a powerful, powerful swim. You got onto the bike. You had a bit of battle there, but the run leg is where it was sorted.
Yeah, I know obviously the swim's the strength, so I want to try and string out the numbers so we don't have a big pack on the bike, and then just got on the bike and sort of stuck to what I knew I could do and held good, solid power, and then just came off the bike and it was just see what I can do. I just went, yeah, my goal was to just cross that line on the ground, and that's what I did, and ended up getting the win, so honestly stoked with that.
Mate, your mum's in the crowd, your support crew's in the crowd, your dad would be looking down from above saying, Braden, I'm so proud of you.
Yeah, honestly, that last sort of 5K, I just felt this lift, and I think that was him giving me strength from above. So honestly, yeah, it's an amazing feeling, and so grateful for all the amazing family and friends that I have. Like, couldn't do it without them.
And just finally, Braden, your name is now in the history books. It goes up against some of the most famous triathletes in the world. They started their day, they started their race, their career here. For you, it's onwards and upwards. What a race, congratulations.
Thank you so much.
There he is, folks, Braden Noosa, our 2024 Garmin Noosa Triathlon champion.
Thanks, Pete. A beautiful interview. There is barely a dry eye in the house here.
Middle.
Well, Snowy, you were emotional, but you've been topped by emotion. Mum is with her, Rena Cook. What was it like to watch Braden win?
I've never been so nervous in my life. Like, that was so much harder than, like, doing it yourself. Like, the nerves as a parent is way over the top as an athlete.
She was crying. Kai Hurst was crying. You're the only one not crying.
Oh, I've had some tears. I've quickly dried my eyes.
It is very different, isn't it? You know, watching, I mean, obviously this is your son, but watching any athlete, you know, I mean, your experience being on the start line, but when the gun goes, your nerves are being used up, your anticipation, everything dissipates, you're in race mode. Being a spectator is really, really...
You have no control. But I mean, I just have faith in Braden. He trains so hard and he's so self-motivated. I could tell by his face and in his eyes in that run that he had his eyes focused. He was not going to stop. He just gave it everything, and he's very good at, like, self-talk and positive things going through his head when he races. So yeah, he would have just had his eyes on the prize and just gone for it.
It was
the swim was no surprise. The bike was expected. How about the run?
You never know, because Braden's so new at the sport. So, I mean, this is totally different. He's never done a race like this before. So, I mean, the distance, the non-drafting, the different bikes, like, it's just so new still for him. So, still experiencing so much. Every time he races, he's learning. He's like a sponge every time he races. Yeah, he's always just taking note of everything that goes wrong, but also what goes right as well. Like, he's very positive. He sort of likes to know what he's done right as well, so he can continue that way.
In the women's race, we still have Ashley Gentle leading. Rochelle Hill is in second position. Her mum won this race a couple of times in the past as well.
Amazing. Yeah, she's amazing. And she looks so good. Like, I don't know how you can look that good that far into a race.
She does just look like she's floating, doesn't she? But, yeah. I mean, I think everybody comes here with different stories and sometimes no expectations. And I don't think this is beginner's luck for Braden. I really don't think we can use that term whatsoever. He sounds like a very experienced and mentally strong and mature athlete for such a young guy. Susie O'Neill was saying that, you know, that she remembers him playing in the pool, you know, just years ago as a young kid. And I mean, that's the beauty of this event, isn't it? You know, family generations that continue to come here and shine a light and think how lucky are we that he's found triathlon.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, Braden's his own person. I mean, everyone talks about his genes and, oh, he's going to be so good because of, you know, the family that he comes from. But he works so hard and he still has to keep on working so hard himself. Like, he can't just sort of lay back and, you know, rest on his laurels with that. But, yeah, it's amazing. It's amazing. I'm so happy right now for him.
Yeah, I actually think that it can be more difficult as the, you know, son or daughter of two-star athletes. Absolutely. There's a lot of pressure.
A lot of pressure. And he handles that well. Like, you know, it took him a while to sort of handle that pressure, but I think he's, yeah, he uses that for his benefit. So.
Okay, time for you to go and relax and celebrate. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you so much for your support too, guys.
Enjoy
been
the
a
day.
brilliant race to watch.
And we saw her beaming yesterday as a mum watching her kids going around. They're just in the beginning of their journey. Fantastic to see Braden Mercer take the victory, making his own name in international sport. Is certainly going to be an athlete to watch. Ashley Gentle, she's in command once again in the women's triathlon. She's had the challenge coming from Rochelle Hill. She hasn't looked as comfortable as she has in the past, Ashley Gentle. But she's good for number 11 surely now, Emma.
Yeah, I mean, the same Toby sort of said and mentioned about Ash. Like, she didn't look as sparky as we've seen her and probably as what Rochelle looks on her feet. But that composure, I think, you know, that quiet confidence that we know Ash to have now, and knowing how she can get through this race, you know, and being handed, you know, different race circumstances at different times, has one from behind, you know, even on the run. But I think that's, you know, that's the Ash that we know. That's the Ash that knows this course, and also knows herself, I think, a lot better than before. And we see this evolution. But I think Ash in particular, known probably being quite that shy athlete that for quite some time. And I think that sort of also gave her, well, not gave her, I think she lacked that inner confidence. And yeah, I love seeing that as athletes, you know, continue to evolve in their careers and gain this experience. But I'm just as excited and happy to see the up-and-coming generation. Honestly, in Australian sport, in triathlon, I have to say that it's so rewarding to see that, you know, we have these heroes, but more importantly, that we have the ones that are trying to fulfill their shoes and to follow in their footsteps. And I think we've got one winner and the young lady that we're seeing here now on screen, looking, you know, calm and composed and looking so mature, like, you know, given the position she's in right now.
Does this put herself in a position to say that she's the second best female Australian triathlete in the country?
Look, why not? You know, I think you've got to put your hand up and you've got to put yourself out there and play your hand at any race and any opportunity, and this being one of the best ones to do it at. You know, everybody says that it's a Noosa Fun Festival, but it is, at the end of the day, it is a chance to really shine the light on what you're capable of against the best athletes when they are here, and you've got a race who's there on the day.
Well, she finds herself in second spot now, Rochelle Hill. We're back on board again with Ashley Gentle. She leads by 57 seconds. For Hill, she's got a minute and 45-second advantage over third place, which is Natalie Van Coveren. And Van Coveren is a proven international athlete. She participated, or she didn't participate, she competed strongly at the Olympic Games this year.
It has to give her great confidence. You know, Natalie's had a career where we've seen her, you know, succeed in Australian racing and struggle to translate that going overseas. It often is really hard, but it's so necessary. And I think someone like Rochelle would be taking great confidence knowing that, you know, she has got that capability to be up against the girls that are competing in the WTCS races, competing up against the best, and I, you know, like you said just before, can she say that she's the second best Australian in the country right now? Yes, absolutely. Does that set her sights on, you know, wanting to get those starts in competing for Australia overseas? 100%. Like, she didn't have the experience that she was probably hoping for in the World Championships just a few weeks ago in Spain, but it's like we talked of, going overseas comes with different complications and different adjustments, and unfortunately you only learn them by having these mishaps, and it's all part and parcel of being an international athlete. But I do believe she's got the maturity to literally take it in her stride.
And perhaps that break that she had in the sport sets her up for greater longevity also. It's been a joy to watch her perform here today. She's only incrementally lost small amounts of time to Ashley Gentle. Ashley Gentle has one bridge to go. It's the Garth Proud Bridge. Garth Proud was one of the key instigators of this event way back in 1983, the godfather of Australian triathlon.
He was so instrumental for this sport. He was a huge mentor of mine. someone that I often called upon for advice, you know, within the sport, with other sport, and really helped set the stage and also helped me as an athlete to develop and have an understanding of what it meant to be a professional, what it meant to deal with sponsors, to deal with media. And I think that's, you know, what's also helped make and continue to evolve this event, because the people that were here working for him and when it was USM and what it's evolved to are still the same familiar faces, and this energy that comes with it, it really showcases that, you know, the passion that comes behind, and he was such an integral part of that.
And the other element is the fundraising that happens, and you can see the athletes that are heading out, part of the age groupers in the blue kit, that's smiling for Smitty. They've already raised more than $500,000 for research into cancer, in particular melanoma. It's the key charity organisation that is associated with the Noosa Triathlon.
I mean, this is community. This is exactly what these sorts of events bring, and you can see all those suits going out now, and what a way to do it. You know, I think by people putting themselves out there, being uncomfortable, setting themselves challenges. Yeah, it's a tricky place for many people to be in, but you know, again, look at the face of this woman who relishes in this atmosphere.
Ashley Gentle, she's onto the Garth Proud Bridge. Pete Murray, she is almost in your sights.
Well, 200 metres to go for Ashley Gentle, ladies and gentlemen, over the Garth Proud Bridge. She's high-fiving the fans. She's starting this celebration early. This is history. 11 times Ashley Gentle will be the Garmin Noosa Triathlon champion, and 10 of those will be consecutive. It's an unbelievable performance. She is one of the #1 athletes in the world of triathlon, and here in Noosa, Ashley Gentle will be the 2024 Garmin Noosa Triathlon champion. Noosa, make some noise. Ashley Gentle, you are the champion, Garmin Noosa Tri. Give me 3 cheers for Ashley Gentle. Hip hip, hip hip, hip hip. Ashley Gentle, you are a freak. Oh, what a performance by Ashley Gentle, folks. But stay tuned, we've got our podium going to wrap up real soon. But Ashley Gentle looks like she's just gone out for a nice, easy Sunday jog. But I can tell you what, she put it all on the line. An awesome swim for Ash, a dominant bike, and a powerhouse run. Second place today, her mum is a 2-times champion here, but today Rochelle Hill will be the podium, second place at the Garmin Noosa Tri. Another awesome race from Rochelle Hill, second place. Well done, Rochelle. What a performance of our top female athletes. Emma Carney, 2-times champion here in Noosa, congratulating Ash Gentle, also congratulating Rochelle Hill. The race record almost got a tilt today, but who will wrap up our female podium? Won't be too far away. We're looking on the big screen. We can see the Garth Proud Bridge, the godfather of triathlon in Australia. Garth Proud started this race in 1983, and in 2024, we've got our champions coming on home with over 13,000 people this weekend. She represented Australia at the Olympics. She's on the big screen. This will be Natalie van Koveren coming off the bridge to the final metres of a 1.5 kilometre 2-times U swim, a 40k cycle, a 10 kilometre ASICS run. Come on, Noosa, make some noise for our podium for our elite female. This will be Natalie van Koveren, third place at the Garmin Noosa Triathlon. Great race, Nat. Welcome home. You are on the podium. She's onto the blue carpet Natalie Van Koven, a 1 hour, 58-minute journey today, wraps up third place. Congratulations and welcome home, Nat. Sophie Malawecki had an awesome race as well. Maddie Phillips comes to the finish line.
Well, Ashley Gentle, she was challenged this time around. Rochelle Hill finishing in second spot. Ran out the podium, Natalie Van Koven, the conclusion of what has been a big season for her going to the Olympic Games. But Ashley Gentle, she didn't taper for this race. She was challenged today, and it's win number 11. Across the finish line, Emma Snowsill, she looked as emotional as she did with win number 1.
I mean, it is exactly what this race is, you know. I think it does bring out an element of family, friends, you know, why you do the sport, why you're here, and you know, it is the end of a long season. I mean, it does seem like year after year it would be repetitive. Oh, I'm here again, I've won again, but I think that's the beauty of racing, you know, and going up through the ups and downs of a season and dealing with, you know, points and pressure, and this race is, you know, almost all stripping that all back and just being like, I'm here for the love of it. I'm still got a few more races to go, but she looked calm and composed, you know, maybe not as bright and sparkly, but she got the job done, and that's what we've come to see of her.
Well, let's hear from her now. Here's Pete Murray with the winner, Ashley Gentle.
Well, we are at the finish line with our 2024 Garmin Noosa Tri champion. Not the first time we've talked to her, it's the 11th time as a champion. Ashley Gentle, the Queen of Noosa.
Yeah, it feels a bit surreal. Sometimes I wonder why I keep doing this to myself, but it's really nice to come here today and get the job done again.
This race might be a little bit different to former races. Your swim today was on fire. You got out of the water nice and early. You hit the front of the race very early, and from there, it was hang on and get that title.
Yeah, for sure. The swim field today was absolutely insane, and you know, I don't have the pace to keep up with those short course speedsters, but I still had a reasonable swim, to be honest, and yeah, felt really good and strong at the start of the bike. So I guess my goal was just to absolutely hammer to get to the front of the races as quickly as I could.
We find you on the race to support here in Noosa. The support out on the course gives you energy, and you took that energy on board today. You really did want to win that 11th title.
Yeah, for sure. It was incredible. I had like a whole huge group of Smiling for Smitty people cheer for me as they were heading out on the run, and I was like, I need to give you guys the cheers. What they're doing is really incredible. So yeah, kudos to everyone out there on course today and throughout the week, because it's really amazing how Noosa Tri brings all of us together.
And finally, when you hit the Garth Proud Bridge, you come down that little hill, the crowd go crazy. What was going through your mind?
I thought, g'day Garth, how you going? Hope you're doing well. Yeah, thanks for starting this event. I'm glad that we've been able to keep it going, and I hope you're proud of this event. And then I just enjoyed the crowds, and I saw my little nephew, and he gave me a nice smile, so that kind of made my day.
Well, you made our day. You made Noosa's day. 11 times a champion, 10 of them consecutive. Well done, Ashley Gentle.
Thanks, Pete. Congratulations, Ashley. What an emotional day. Emma Snowsill.
What is going on?
Well, it's a beautiful... And she's mentioned Garth Proud. She mentioned her niece by the side of the road. We've had Braden Mercer win. This event keeps on delivering.
It does. I mean, there's so many stories everybody has to tell, and I think that's what's so integral to the fabric of this event. And Ash, she attested to that, you know, how she feels about when she sees, you know, all these athletes heading out for the Smiling for Smitty. It's something greater and bigger than yourself at times, and this event definitely epitomizes that. And yeah, I think it is amazing that we are so fortunate to be here in such an incredible part of the world. We are so blessed and so lucky to be here and to share these experiences. And at the end of the day, that is what life is all about.
she's been winning this race for so long. She was a kid, really, when she first won the race. And now she's a mature adult. She's one of the icons of the sport in Australia. She's one of the world's leading triathletes. And she's grown into the role of a role model.
100%. She has really grown into that role. We have seen her as that, young, shy, timid Ash, and she speaks with such poise and professionalism now, and she does hold herself in that regard that she is that role model and for the sport, and I think it's absolutely vital, and I think, hats off to her. She said she comes here to get the job done. You can see she's exhausted. She looks like she does it easy, but, she is out there putting her best foot forward and wanting to take that win and continue to uphold this incredible legacy that she's put her mark on at this event.
Let's get down to the presentations.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Elite Men's presentation for the 2024 Garmin Noosa Triathlon. Presenting medals today will be Frank Wilkie, Mayor of Noosa. Presenting flowers today will be Rebecca Van Puss, Vice President Operations, IRONMAN Oceania. In third place, the 2024 Garmin Noosa Triathlon in a time of 1 hour, 44 minutes and 15 seconds from Australia, Luke Willian. In second place, the 2024 Garmin Noosa Triathlon in a time of 1 hour, 43:58 seconds from New Zealand, Taylor Reid. And in first place, the 2024 Garmin Noosa Triathlon in a time of 1 hour, 43 minutes and 20 seconds. He hails from Queensland, Australia. Give it up for the champion, Braden Mercer! All right, we got Braden Mercer, Taylor Reid, Luke Willian for the group photo. And very soon, we're going to celebrate with the champagne celebration for the 2024 Garmin Noosa Triathlon. Ladies and gentlemen, give it up one more time for our top 3 elite male.
Well, what a moment on the podium for Braden Mercer. Perhaps needs a little bit more experience with the champagne. And Emma, I get the impression he's going to get a lot more experience. He takes the win, 38 seconds clear of Taylor Reid. Luke Willian, a former winner, in third position. Then the South African Jamie Riddle. And it was Jake Birtwistle ran out the top 5. McDonald, Noble, Sozinski in 8th. His sister was even better in the women's race, Jack Crome, and then Joe Beige in 10th position. A commanding win by Braden Mercer.
It really was. I mean, it wasn't like it was a sprint finish. He really did have his own, held his own, particularly on that run. I guess we were surprised, given we thought, we were expecting to see him in the swim like we did, but, speaking to his mum, you just never know. And he did. He just took this race by by the horns and just went with it. And yeah, I tend to agree. I think he's going to get a handle on that Champagne opening a lot sooner than later.
And I'm anticipating that this will spark the Olympic dream as well, potentially to represent Australia at the LA Olympics. He's got 4 years to get even better. Look out, world. Braden is on his way. Let's head back down to Pete Murray with the presentations for the women.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Elite Women's presentation for the 2024 Garmin Noosa Triathlon. Presenting medals today will be Mr. Frank Wilkie, Mayor of Noosa. Presenting flowers today will be Rebecca Van Poos, Vice President Operations, IRONMAN Oceania. In third place at the 2024 Garmin Noosa Triathlon in a time of 1 hour, 58 minutes and 49 seconds from Australia, Natalie Van Coverden. In second place at the 2024 Garmin Noosa Triathlon in a time of 1 hour, 56 minutes, 58 seconds from Australia, Rochelle Hill. And in first place at the 2024 Garmin Noosa Triathlon in a time of 1 hour, 55 minutes, 56 seconds for the 11th time. Make some noise from Australia, folks. Ashley Gentle. What a race it was today. Well done to Ashley Gentle, Rochelle Hill, Natalie Van Coverden. We get our group photo and then the champagne celebration for the 2024 Garmin Noosa Triathlon Elite Women's Field.
Sheet for the women's race, Emma Snowsill. It is copy and paste from the last 10 years. Ashley Gentle has done it again. Rochelle Hill, brilliant in second position. Van Coven ran it at the podium. Malovecki, who was second last year, she was in fourth. And a really impressive performance. One of the good stories of the day, in fifth position, Tara Sozinski.
Very impressive. I think that's what we've been trying to take away. I think also is just seeing these young up and comers, because I think the screen's going to have a permanently etched Ashley Gentle. So we knew that was kind of a foregone conclusion, but it is fantastic to see, you know, like you said, these young athletes coming up into the foray and becoming our new superstars of Australian triathlon.
Well, very shortly, we're going to be joined by Ashley Gentle again. We've done this so often, and we're going to be joined by the feel-good story of this year's Garmin Noosa Triathlon. Stay with us. Still a special moment to come as we interview our two winners.
When you move your body, you take your mind to an amazing place. Spreading positivity to the world around you. Move your mind with ASICS. ASICS. Sound mind, sound body.
The Garmin Noosa Triathlon, it is the feel-good event on the Australian sporting calendar, Emma Snowsill. Today, even more so. It was win number 11, rinse and repeat for Ashley Gentle. But the story of the day, Braden Mercer, here at the finish line, your mum was crying, I get it. Emma Snowsill was crying, I get it. Kai Hurst was crying. What was the last few hundred metres like for you?
Oh, first Noosa try. I mean, I've come down to watch this event for years and I've always wanted to do it since a little kid, and then that last 100 metres when I saw that tape and I knew that I was going to win, it was, I can't describe it, words can't put together. I saw Mum and everyone at the finish line just up here, and yeah, it was honestly an amazing feeling.
Ashley, have you seen a bigger smile? That one's going from ear to ear.
I know, it's really great to see some young talent come take the win at Noosa. I know what that feeling was like when I was a teenager, or early 20s, so yeah, congratulations, and I'm really happy for you.
Thank you so much.
It was an emotional win for you as well. I've watched all of your 11 victories, and that was nearly as emotional as the first one, maybe even more.
Yeah, it was great. Like, I definitely felt the load in the legs, and I was definitely getting tired towards the end of the run, but I'm really proud that I put together a really solid race today, and yeah, it was great to see all my family as well in the VIP, and they come to support each year as well, so it's amazing.
Braden, a lot has been spoken about your mum and her athletic career, and your dad and his career, who unfortunately you lost a few years ago. I'm sure that he was right there in your thoughts, particularly towards the end.
Yeah, I mean, before every race I asked for strength for him, and that last sort of 5K when it got hard, I was like, I could just feel like I had wings, and I just went for it, and yeah, I felt him out there today, and Mum means the world to my brothers, so honestly, yeah, emotional victory, but I think hopefully the first of many, and an amazing feeling.
I definitely think I said, you probably didn't have the champagne opening quite down pat yet, but I am sure you're going to be nailing that from here on in. Like, yeah. It's a true testament and to what you've been through as an athlete, as a young man, and to have this opportunity, like you said, to come and watch as a young kid, to come and see this sport. I mean, it must be such an amazing way to start your career.
Yeah, honestly, yeah. Couldn't ask for a better story, so yeah.
Can you remember, we had Susie O'Neill in with us during the swim, and she said, I can remember Braden Mercer getting under my feet at 4 or 5 years of age, playing with my kids at the Noosa Triathlon. How am I commentating? Can you remember those times in your life as a kid here?
Definitely not, but I mean, I'll say yes.
What are the dreams? What has this sparked for you?
I plan to go all the way, but I know that it's not going to be easy. There's ups and downs. I mean, before this race, I had a lot of good races, had a lot of bad ones, so I know it's not going to be an easy road, but yeah, I'm gonna see what I can do and try and strive for what I can achieve, hopefully.
Ash, you got any advice for him?
Yeah, keep at it, don't give up, and just believe in yourself, and keep those people that believe in you really close, and block out everything else, because you've got a lot of talent and it sounds like a lot of motivation. So yeah, I wish you all the best, and I'll definitely be following your journey as well.
Thank you so much.
Emma and I were talking about it as you were going across the finish line. We've watched you grow up at this race. Do you feel like you've grown up at Noosa Triathlon?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, like I've said before, I was 18 or 19 when I first won here, but I was also here participating in relays before that. I grew up on the Gold Coast, and came to Noosa to watch. Always went up to Mooloolaba and watched Emma Snowsill here. So I feel like the triathlon community, I've been around it from such a young age. So I've definitely grown up with the Noosa Tri in particular.
Has she been a role model for you?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I've come down and seen Ash for the last 2 years just dominate. So yeah, it's obviously an amazing thing to see, and for her to get, I think this is number 12, is it? 11. So
Next
yeah,
year.
sorry.
Next year, number 12,
hopefully.
okay. What I can tell you, that as they both came into the studio, Ashley said to Braden, 10 to go, pal.
Yeah, I've got a long way to go if I want to get that. So
You can do it.
Yeah, we'll see.
Well, you've still got a long way to go this season. You spoke about having a heavy load in your legs. You didn't taper for the event. Talk us through what's to come next for you.
Yeah, so next Sunday I'm off to Dubai for the grand final of the world tour that I've been doing. So yeah, I've been in a really intense kind of training block for that race. So I feel like I'm really proud of this race and that I was able to put together a solid swim, bike, run, and it gives me good confidence for 2 weeks.
I mean, we continue to see the evolution of this sport, and right now, at the moment, Taylor Knibb is sort of the one to beat for you in order to take that title. I mean, do races like this and sort of training through them, does it give you a lot of confidence in knowing what you're doing and knowing what you're up against in a couple of weeks' time?
Yeah, definitely. Taylor Knibb is definitely raising the bar in women's triathlon, and I guess the rest of us have to try and keep up, and I feel like I've got a good skill set, to try and be competitive, but like I've mentioned before, the bar just keeps raising. So I'm extremely motivated. I'll do the best I can, and yeah, I'll see what happens.
I don't know if cheering from Australia helps, but we will be cheering.
It does help.
It does help. Okay, good. Well, we're on board, right?
Absolutely.
We're cheering. We've just seen off in the background, you've caught eyes with Kai Hurst, who he and your father were very close.
Yeah.
And look at the emotion on his face. What's it like for you to see Kai?
I mean, Kai's a great mentor of mine. I've known him since I was little. He's always been there to give me advice and help me out with everything. And before the start of the swim, he came up to me and said, "You got this. Do you need any help?" And I said, "No, I got this." So just went out there and did my thing. But yeah, no, Kai is obviously really close with him and a role model of mine for sure.
And putting the run together, I mean, we sort of had this expectation around you for the swim, we'll be honest. Yeah. No pressure, but the run, I mean, you did just look like you were in control, like you looked like you wanted it, you were hungry for it. Did it take you by surprise to find yourself in the lead?
Well, I knew that I have the run there down pat, but obviously it's a different story, 10K off the bike, just having that strength, and obviously still young, so trying to develop that. So I knew that if I went out at a pace and just told myself I could hold it, which I did, and honestly, that's sort of the first time I've put it together today, and hopefully we can continue to do it.
Well, you got some good feedback on your run, because during the run we had the winners of the ASICS Bolt with us, and we asked Leanne Pompanari, any thoughts on Braden's technique? And she said, better than mine.
Well, I don't know about that, but
she was quick, wasn't she, last night?
Yeah, very good.
Yeah. So now that you've got that week before you get across to Dubai, what do you do in the next few days?
Today will be the first time in 13 years of racing Noosa Tri that I will warm down. I've got Josh's bike set up in the hotel room, so I am going to go and do a warm down and definitely do like a proper protocol to make sure that the body pulls up really well, so I can hit the week feeling good, and then before I get on that plane.
Your husband Josh is watching on, and I feel like it's the coach watching us to make sure we don't take up too much of your time, so you can get away and do what you need to do.
Yeah, he's definitely been a great support this weekend and every race around the world. So, he's under strict instructions this last week, and he's been great support.
Braden, what does it look like for you? Is this end of season, start of season? Where are the aspirations for you in this sport after this as well?
No warm down for me today. That's the last race, and I'll probably go over and have a beer in the tent here. So and that's it for me this year.
Probably no sleep either tonight.
Not. I mean, see what happens.
Enjoy it. Bask in the glory. The smile on your face is warming the hearts of everybody here. There's a few tears that have been wiped away as well. Congratulations, Braden.
Thank you so much.
And good luck, Ash. Number 11 in the bag. Good luck in Dubai in a week or so's time.
Thanks.
Well, the two winners of the 41st edition of the Garmin Noosa Triathlon, Braden Mercer, Ashley Gentle. Stick with us. Still more to come after this.
It is a shame for a person to grow old without seeing the beauty and strength of which their body is capable. You have the tools. You have the knowledge. you have no excuses. Train to perform with Phoenix 8.
Start strength training.
The ultimate smartwatch, only from Garmin.
Okay, Emma, have you recovered?
I tell you, I didn't expect it to be so emotional. I think the whole weekend. Now I'm sort of understanding what Reen went through yesterday morning. Super Kids. No, I definitely not. It's been a fantastic weekend of sport. I mean, I honestly can't say how it manages to get better every year. And I also came as a young teenager, just like these two said, coming in, competing in the teams. First came as a swimmer, then doubled my hand at swim, and then the bike, and then, you know, many years later took part in the whole thing. So I think that's exactly what it's all about, you know, this experience and being involved in the sport. And yeah, I reckon I'm going to be needing a bit of a nap this afternoon after all that.
You're going to have a siesta, have a Spanish, have a lay down. I'm not surprised by the emotion of Braden Mercer. We've spoken about that backstory a lot. But what highlights the significance of this event is how emotional Ashley Gentle was after 11 victories.
Yeah, I think, you know, as an athlete, and you touched on it, longevity in the sport is something it's not easy to master, and I think that's something that she's become very well aware of. You know, coming through as a young junior and somewhat having sometimes a lot of pressure on you, that you are going to be this, you're going to be that, and navigating that path is quite tricky, but look at the success she's having now in her early 30s, and I think, like we've mentioned, you know, the best I think is still yet to come from her. So I think every year, you know, there's always challenges, but the fact that you're still here, the fact that you're not injured and you're still able to race, you're still able to contend, you're still going for these titles, it does become things that you become, I think, with age, more and more grateful for.
And local time is 8:42. There's some athletes who are yet to get started. There's 13,000 participants across the age groupers, the relays as well. The Smiling for Smitty crew are out there. They're even starting to finish. And for people that want to participate next year, make sure that you get online really quickly, noosatri.com.au, because the entries, these sell out quicker than any other triathlon in the country.
I've never known an event to sell out the way it does. I mean, my brother-in-law somehow must have stayed up all night and got an entry which he'd been trying for many, many, many years. So it is one of the most hotly contested events in this country, and for good reason. I mean, just look at it. It's who wouldn't want to take part, who wouldn't want to come and be in paradise, and you know, bring your family and bring all your support crew and whatever's needed. I don't think you're going to have any trouble convincing them to come along with you.
As you can see, the entries open up on the 21st of November, and it is a race where we see a lot of people. It's almost like trying to get Taylor Swift concert tickets. You're waiting online for the entries to open, and make sure you get in. Don't miss out.
It's so true. It's very true. Yeah, you've got to be online and have a few tabs open and a few people on the line trying their best as well. So, yeah, it's the place to be, and we know it. We've seen, we've lived and breathed at this, you know, these last few days, and yeah, if anybody hasn't been, I'm sure they've heard about it and they're dying to get here as well.
And of course, an event like this, it doesn't happen without our great partners. And Garmin, the naming rights partner, ASICS as well, with the famous ASICS belt. Great to have GWM on board, and we saw the GW in tank in action at the front of the criterium yesterday, trying to stay away from the cyclists.
I loved it. Looked very bright and colourful. Definitely doing its best job out there.
And of course, Events Queensland, the Queensland government as well, and Tourism Noosa. And what a place it is to come and visit. If you want to work out your next trip, go to the website, visit noosa.com.au. There's a lot to do even beyond the beaches here in Noosa, and you discovered that with a helicopter ride.
Can 100% attest to that. There is so much more in such close proximity to the beaches here. It was actually surprising for myself to be out in the hinterland, looking over macadamia farms, venturing our way up to the Everglades, one of two in the world. I'll be honest, I did not actually know that myself, but mind-blowing, and to come back along the beach, like 40 Mile Beach, seeing horses ride, you know, people on horseback, potted dolphins. There is so much in such a short space that I really can't imagine coming to a better place and having a more outdoor adventure and field experience.
It is a beautiful experience. As you can see behind us, the age groupers, they're heading out on the bike, they're coming back from the run. There's a long day still to go here in Noosa. We hope that we see you here next year for the Garmin Noosa Triathlon. It will be edition number 42. For edition number 41, on behalf of Emma Snowsill and myself, Matt Keenan, and everybody else that's joined us, thanks for watching this year's race. Braden Mercer, Ashley Gentle, they were your champions. Until next year, bye for now.